Podcast closely now. Podcast closely now.
Oh, dear. You got more?
I mean, the song's pretty much those two lyrics.
Yeah.
Well, it's closely
I
now.
thought it was great.
I mean, because it was the podcast, soft as an easy chair.
That's all right. That's all right.
Podcast, fresh as the morning air.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very embarrassed doing this in front of you. Love is said a lot in this song. You could sub in the word podcast for love. No, what I was gonna do was just, you can trash your podcast, but you're not gonna trash mine.
Okay.
I was
There you
gonna do
go.
that, but all of
Is
this
that
stayed
life?
in.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the
good.
big line.
That is kind of the big line.
In 1976, A Star Is Born. The third out of 4 films in the storied Star Is Born franchise.
Sure. Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah.
Franchise? Whatever.
I'm gonna call it a franchise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
ASIBCU.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. The ASIBC.
I want
Thank
like
you.
Pixar theory and
The Starbirth CU. the Starbirth Cinematic Universe. Uh-huh.
I want a Pixar theory and argue that they all take place in the same universe.
In
Like
a
this
way.
is a curse that gets passed on.
Well, that's the
Like,
thing.
yeah.
Judy Garland exists in the Lady Gaga
Oh,
one because she
yes.
sings Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Right.
That's true.
That's fascinating.
So, she was never Esther. She was Judy.
Yeah.
Right.
I had never seen this film before.
Oh.
We covered.
You'd never seen this one
Yeah,
before.
we
Sure.
covered the Bradley Cooper movie on this podcast, Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
I'm David.
Podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And sometimes those checks clear. Sometimes they bounce, baby. We covered Bradley Cooper's A Star Is Born because we felt like that was a director's career being born.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I think we don't really do it as much anymore, but we'd be like, oh, well, let's find more new release films to put on the schedule.
Yeah.
And now we're like, less new release films.
Less stuff in general.
Although we'll have done Maestro at this point.
Yes.
Um,
You
but-
excited? Have you seen
I
it?
am. Well, I have not
Okay.
seen it, but my dog is named after Leonard
your
Bernstein.
dog who's here in the studio today, the second ever dog guest on Blank Check.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's
In
doing
studio.
a good job.
He's doing a great job.
And I will say, I know those kids. I know the Bernstein kids very well. And they're just lovely. And so seeing all these videos of them,
It is funny that we call them kids because they are all.
they are
adults.
They're like
they are
60s and
adults
70s.
with
Yeah.
children and maybe grandchildren
yeah,
as
they're
well.
old. I mean,
Yeah.
they,
But
they
yeah,
should be old.
it is just one of those things. I'm particularly in communication with Alex Bernstein, and he's the son and the only son, and they're just the most delightful people. So it makes me happy to see them celebrating.
Having fun, man.
Yeah.
Now,
They're
Rachel,
out there.
I'm not
Yes.
looking to start a controversy, and I wasn't going to bring it up.
Me controversy.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Okay.
It's the last thing I want to do.
All right.
But I do have to ask now. It looks like your dog is wearing a fake nose. Your dog, Lenny
He
Bernstein.
does have a nice
Right,
big
but
nose.
Steven Spielberg was there,
Okay,
and
that's fine. That's
And
all,
it's not a
that's all I was
problem.
asking. If your buddy Steve signed off on it, I'm okay with it.
I will say the Bernstein kids, at least Alex did sign off on his name being Lenny. I was like, just
Good.
want to make sure you don't think it's weird.
But he is the specific, he's named after Mr. Bernstein.
Yes.
Could you
That's-
imagine if you saw a dog that was wearing a prosthetic nose? Either version of that. Either wearing a rubber human nose,
Or a big
or you're
dog
like,
nose.
that snout looks a little exaggerated.
Yeah. Sometimes I want to put him in like those sunglasses, like the big, like chunky
Groucho.
glasses. Yeah, they want with the mustache and everything.
My sister's dog, one of the all-time great dogs, Scruffy Newman, dearly departed.
Hmm.
When she was a little girl, she described him. She said to me, he's the kind of dog where he'd look smart if you put glasses on him.
Isn't there's this Disney movie called Meet the Robinsons,
Oh, yeah,
where he's like,
absolutely.
he asks why the dog is wearing glasses, and he says, because its insurance won't pay for contacts.
It's a good-ass joke. Meet the Robinsons is one of many movies that will come up sometimes in like box office games in this podcast.
Yeah.
And David says like, a movie I will never see. And I'm like, my friend, you got a 1.5-year-old.
I'm going to be honest.
You're
Yeah.
getting to Meet
Well,
the Robinsons at
She's
some
2.5
point.
now.
Oh, Jesus, you're right. She's
My daughter?
Fucking Christ.
Wow.
She's 2.5 years old.
Oh, yeah, she's 2.5.
Yeah.
She's talking.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's some really good Tom Selleck jokes in it.
Okay, cool.
Great movie.
The frogs are fun. It's a fun movie.
The frogs are fun.
yeah.
I'll see it
So
sometime.
you'll get to the end of Disney Plus at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
well, we
I
just
have
keep
the
going back to the
DVD,
start of Blu-ray.
and I was
Okay.
at the cinema when it opened.
Hell yeah.
So,
Yes. Okay.
so part of those box office numbers, I was there.
You must have been 2007, right?
I was 6
You were
years old.
6 years old. Okay, there you go. I have yet to see it. We just watched Bluey and Ponyo over and over and over again. That's all we watched.
And you
really.
watch musical numbers. You watch.
Yeah, we watched like YouTube clips of
7 brides
Disney.
for 7 brothers.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, the plot of this movie is what you need to pay attention to.
But it's Russ Tamblyn that we're really watching
Yes.
right now.
Russ Tamblyn.
Let me finish table setting here.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
This is the start of a new miniseries.
That's right.
Lenny's starting to like doze off, so just be quiet.
He is. He's
Don't
nice
disturb
now.
Lenny.
Yeah.
This is the start. I'm gonna go
This is
Alec
the start of a
Baldwin.
new mini. Just go
Give it
full
some Chris
Christopherson.
Christopherson, yeah.
You would never
This
wake
is
up
the
a
start
dog.
of a new miniseries.
Do you think that's what Christopherson thinks? Like,
A
I'll
new
never wake up a
miniseries
dog
is
talking
born.
this way.
Yeah,
Blade, you need to
I
go kill the vampires.
I've never seen a dog with his eyes open my whole life. I walk into a room, they snooze. This is a new miniseries on the films of Barbra Streisand.
Amazing.
It sure is. And
We have not discussed what the name of this miniseries is.
Oh my god.
That's a good point.
Wait,
There's-
you guys haven't, or you haven't told anybody what it is?
We haven't.
I feel like we had one conversation.
I have my pitch
The podcast has two faces.
because let's say our guest today returned to the show.
And first time IRL.
First time IRL.
There's
Thank
no
God.
dang pandemic.
Oh,
It's definitely
true.
over.
Well, I was
or
also
whatever.
I was in London last.
You
time.
were in London.
I just never would have been
You were
able to make it.
making
I was
Shazam?
making-
Snow White?
I was making a movie.
A movie.
I don't-
right. We can't talk about
I don't
it.
think I
Sorry,
can
sorry,
name
sorry.
it, yeah.
Yes,
I will
you were,
list no
you were
credits,
working on Struck.
But our
Work,
guest
yes.
today returned to the show, dang ass movie star Rachel Zegler.
Hi,
Hey,
everybody.
Rachel.
Now we are
Hello.
recording this very far in advance of when it will come out because you're a busy movie star.
It's true.
There is currently 2 strikes going on.
So
there
I'm
are
not-
2
So
strikes.
I'm a not so busy.
Right, so we
movie
said let's
star.
get this
Yeah.
recorded
Get it in the
while we
dang
can.
books.
Who knows
100%.
when the Hollywood factory starts up again?
Mhm.
But it means because we're recording this further in advance, we have not really discussed the name of the miniseries.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Now, Barbra Streisand, the person we're talking about,
Angel.
only directed 3 proper movies. We're including this, A Star is Born, as the first in the series because she was kind of the main authorial
She
for
was
us.
sort of had full,
in
right,
this
a
film.
lot of creative
She had
control
final
over this
cut.
film. Right.
Producer. I mean, she was everything.
It is
Right.
one of the only cases where the final cut was granted to someone who was not the director.
Sure. She and
On a
we're
studio
never
film.
look. I like Frank Pearson as a director. Actually,
You like him as a director?
I do.
I like him as a writer.
Obviously, I like him as a writer as
Yeah.
well. But he directed a lot of
Yeah.
good TV movies in the
Okay,
'90s
Interesting.
and 2000s. But yeah, we're never doing a Frank Pearson series.
No, and he infamously, when this movie came out, like a couple weeks before it came out, wrote an article for New York Magazine just trashing the movie
Oh.
and talking about what a nightmare he had working with her and what a control freak she was.
Oh.
And she kind of was, she went nuclear on him, unsurprisingly.
Good for her.
But his article was sort of like, they wouldn't let me direct. And her response was like, because you didn't know what the fuck you were
direct yourself out of a paper
Right.
bag.
And even now,
Oh.
still, when this
I don't know if
movie
she's
gets re-released or the rep screening, she is the one who goes and talks about it. And she talks about it very much with the voice of someone who directed it, which I think
Yeah.
she kind of largely did.
Well, it's very telling that she and Christopherson are still very good friends.
Mhm.
She considers him like one of the best people she's ever shared screen with. And I think in 2019 they sang Evergreen together.
Oh,
Still,
look, here
like
they
on
are.
stage. Yeah, it's like a
Aw.
real thing that they're still buddy. And I think that's really telling
Yes.
in the grand scheme of something. Is that if your co-lead
pals.
is still,
Absolutely.
then yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they probably see eye to eye about the Frank Pearson situation.
This was the first Jon Peters production. So it's her
Mm.
coming in with a lot more power because they have this united front, the two of them together.
I hear you,
Yeah.
but what's the name of the miniseries?
Well,
Miniseries.
so here's the
I'm not
point.
doing
Yeah.
that.
I'm going to say I think it can't be called a pod is cast because she didn't technically direct it.
It's also a little broad.
Right. So then we're
Yeah.
down to 3
Okay,
movies.
can't do anything with Yentl.
Well,
What?
well,
Of course you can.
Can I pitch it?
Oh.
All right, go ahead.
Podcastl.
I like it.
Podcast.
I'm all in on
Honestly, I love that.
Wow.
Yes, I'm totally into
Because
that.
the other 2 options are
Podbabs.
Podbabs.
Podbabs,
Podbra Streisand.
Podra Streiscast,
That's, we used to do.
Barb Podcast.
That used to be our structure, Rachel. The first year, that's what we would do. We'd be like, we'll fit
Yeah.
into the name of the person.
Because wait, what was the Fosse one?
Fosse was
called
Pod That Jazz Cast.
Yeah, Pod That
Pod
Jazz Cast.
Cast. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Which was
That's
really
good.
good.
But we used to be like Pod Night Shamacast.
Yeah.
the Wachowski podcasts.
Yeah, the
And then we
Podcastl
gave up on it. The Podkowski casters. Yeah. Then we gave up on that
my
thing.
Okay, so yeah, no, our only other options are the Prince of, or the
The podcast of tides.
yeah, something like that.
No.
Or the podcast has two faces.
Podcastl's
Kind of
good.
funny.
Now-
Podcastl.
I say do it.
No,
Here's
I'm
the only
into
other
it.
argument.
No, don't talk me out of it. You talked me into it.
The podcast has two friends.
Yeah, but then we're
And-
kind of far from whatever we were doing, right?
Sure. People call us the two friends, Rachel.
Well, yeah, I was gonna
It's a
say,
competitive advantage. We're the only two friends who host a podcast together.
That's true. And I like the insinuation that we are not part of friendship.
Well,
at
Ben's
all.
a producer.
You're
You're a
a
guest.
friend.
Yeah,
You're
that's
friends.
true.
You're both
They're-
friends. We're talking about
they're-
titles.
They're the
Podcastl.
two friends.
It's
We're the two
decided.
friends.
Best
We were the
friends
first.
that anyone can have.
Exactly.
Honestly, Lenny and I are the
Okay,
two
so now
new friends.
I'm the one who gets completely exiled.
Rachel,
Sorry.
you're a dear friend, and thank
Oh,
you for coming
thanks.
on the show.
I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. Are you comfortable telling me the thing you texted me the other day
What did I text you the other day?
about a connection you forgot you had
Oh, yes.
to the subject?
Oh, yes. I brought a picture of it.
Hell
Did I
yeah.
send it to you?
You
Or did I just text you about it?
you texted me about it. You didn't send it to me.
So when I was out in Atlanta and I was shooting a movie in 2021.
Will not be named.
The movie will not be named. Not that anybody saw it anyways.
Solidarity strike.
Solidarity,
Hopefully
baby.
it's ended by the time this
I
episode
know,
comes out.
right? Jesus, that would be great.
Yeah.
I was shooting a movie in Atlanta, and I got a box in the mail that was from. It was, it said it was from Barbra Streisand.
It just said it.
It was just like, it said like Streisand something on it, and I was like,
Sure.
okay,
123 Barbara Lane.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. She had come out with an album.
Uh-huh.
It came with like a little notebook that had her face on it, and like the actual album, and a hoodie that had like very Andy Warhol-esque pictures of her face, and like
So at this point, opening the box, you just think maybe like,
It's
I'm on a list
I'm
of
on a
like an
PR
influencer
list.
PR list.
it's
Right.
probably like whatever label she's with
Sure.
has a list of people. Because I would get boxes from my friend.
Is it this
It
kind
is
of
that-
cover?
it was that cover,
cool.
yeah.
And
And then-
Release Me Too.
Yes,
Mhm.
and there was this little note
A
card
little note card, David.
in the notebook,
Okay.
and it said R dash, and then in like a gold embossed said with compliments from B, like in handwriting.
Very classy to just do initials.
Yeah.
By the way.
Oh, I there was a video that I took of me being like, there's no way.
Mhm.
There's no way. And then it was like on the Today Show because I tweeted it out and people were
Mhm.
like, watch Rachel Zegler lose her goddamn mind over Barbra Streisand. But this is it. It says with compliments.
Look at that.
Do you have it like framed?
It is it
Yeah,
is
cool.
framed in my my childhood home in Jersey right now.
I
Because
would
I'm in
frame
the
that
middle
too.
of moving. But yeah, this is the craziest fucking thing that's ever happened to me, genuinely. And
Yeah.
I've had some crazy shit happen to me. But this is like, I don't even know how she knows who I genuinely.
Right. That's the question. How
at
do you
that-
even get on this list? Whatever
That's
it
what
is.
the thing.
happened?
The note is in and of itself an admission of like, I'm
That's right.
aware.
Yeah.
There's
It's her saying,
two
I'm
levels.
noticing. I'm
Yeah.
watching.
I will say the only thing I could think of was that there was like a video of me during the pandemic that went semi
Oh, right. 'cause
Viral.
before the movie had come out.
Yeah, the movie, my first movie had never come out. It had not come out yet. It had gotten pushed because of
Yes.
the pandemic.
Oh,
So
then this really is crazy.
it was really
Right.
wild. And the only thing I could think of was I had a video of me singing My Man,
Man.
from Funny Girl
Sure.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
That didn't do crazy. It didn't do my A Star Is Born numbers, but it was
Is that the one where you're showing, like yelling to the back of the room?
that's shallow.
That's shallow.
That's
Okay,
A
that's
Star
what I
Is
thought.
Born,
That's
yeah.
Stars.
I did like My Man sitting in my bathroom wearing like leggings and a t-shirt, and I was just singing in my bathroom, which I always was doing, but
Sure.
that was
Pretty
the
artistic.
only
Still doing it.
thing.
I feel like I saw you do that like a month ago.
I'm still doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
The strike has been long.
Hey.
Within,
Yeah.
so it's just it was so crazy, and I remember going over to my friends' houses that night, and nobody cared as much as I did. And I was
Because-
like, guys, you don't understand. It's
She's
Barbara.
one of the more famous people of the 20th century.
Yes.
She's
I mean,
one of the
she's
more
still with
famous
us,
people.
obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like, as a musical theater kid,
Yeah, exactly.
that's
she's
nuts.
say,
she's
I
the top of the pyramid.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to stereotype, right? But
Yeah.
I texted you and I was just like, FYI, we're doing Barbra Streisand.
Yeah.
I feel like you might be interested.
Yeah.
I think I was.
Jumped on it.
You did right. We were in the room when you texted her, and you
Yeah.
replied in like 5 seconds.
Yep.
Yes.
Done.
Right.
That's just how I replied to Griffin.
But she's okay. But she's particularly important for
Absolutely.
you, right?
And
Yeah.
I would say to everyone who grew up the way I did. She
Yeah.
was very important. And she was, I mean, and that's why it was really nice to, I've obviously seen this movie in particular so many times.
Interesting.
But I hadn't revisited it in a while, and watching it being like, I can't believe this woman knows who I am was crazy.
That is amazing.
Also, Lenny was not a fan of the movie. I
Interesting.
will say, Lenny
little long.
would bark at whenever she sang.
Oh, okay. As I was going to say,
And I was
Leonard
like,
Bernstein was
I
not a fan of
have
this
a-
movie. It's plausible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe
yeah.
not. I have a video of it that I will show you guys of him
Yes.
just being absolutely angry at Barbra Streisand being on screen. No son of mine, let me tell you.
Maybe he was angry because he wanted Christopherson back. He was like, I'm tired.
Also, Lenny
He's a
has
guy's guy.
curly
Give me that
hair. Lenny's
Yeah.
got,
True.
and Barbara has curly hair.
True.
Competition.
In this movie, maybe he was just like, agitated. Like, who's this?
Yeah.
You
Who's-
know,
yeah,
this
whose bitch
curly haired
stole my
friend.
look.
But also
Yeah.
he won.
Watch closely now.
Gosh.
Okay.
Podcastl, a miniseries on the films of Barbra
Podcastl.
Streisand that
Mhm.
starts out with this film that I'd say the experience of making this film is the thing that pushes her to say, I need to start directing my own stuff.
Mm.
Which is just not something that someone like her did back
No.
then.
No.
That's why
No.
she's such a classic blank check candidate, obviously, and just
Yes.
a major auteur, even though she didn't direct a lot of movies.
No, and she's, much like Warren Beatty, she's one of those people where she continues to threaten to make another film. We would love to see
I
it.
like
Yeah.
the word threaten is funny.
Well,
Yes.
Warren finally did make Rules Don't Apply, a film to which no rules applied.
Yeah.
Barbara, every 5 years, will be like, I'm actually pretty close to doing this. And it'll be similar where it's like, I'm doing readings of this. I've been talking to this actor about doing stuff. I actually want to film this in 6 months.
Guys, maybe the note that she sent me was just her saying she's really interested in me being the star of her next film.
Maybe. I mean, do you remember 10 years ago, she got the rights to Gypsy
Yeah.
and was like, I'm going to make it soon.
Which she would have to. I mean, she
Yes.
would be good
Which I
Yes.
guess Steven did the same thing with.
Yeah.
with a certain movie.
With a different movie.
yes.
Mhm.
And with a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
Um,
He sits on stuff.
10 years is soon.
Yeah.
So we have to get the biggest thing out of the way. We have to.
Okay.
Barbra Streisand has my birthday. We have the same
What?
birthday. She's my celebrity birthday. She's kind of the only one.
And when is this birthday?
April 24th.
Oh my God,
Now,
a Taurus.
I am a
Me
Taurus.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
May 3rd, baby.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Best star sign.
Here we go.
Not a lot of celebrities have my birthday. Barbara's really the only big one I have.
Mm.
Jaimon Honsu.
Hey,
My good
That
friend.
one's good. I just Googled.
The
Diamond-
wizard himself.
Diamond's the best. The wizard himself. We love
wait a sec.
Diamond.
Cedric the Entertainer.
What the fuck you talking shit about your own birthday?
You got a great birthday.
Oh, this one's good. I didn't know this one. Kelly Clarkson.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh.
Legend.
Yeah.
Waiting for her Broadway debut.
I can my birthday is Benicio del Toro,
Nice.
Jeff
Cool.
Daniels,
Nice.
Seal,
Nice.
Victoria Justice.
Okay.
Who you were once in a movie with.
I was.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't actually know.
He was
who
on a
has my
no kiss
birthday.
list.
Oh my God.
Right? That's the movie you were in with.
No,
right?
the joke is that I'm not on the list because they're like, who even cares about him?
Oh, well, you don't
Oh.
even make the no kiss list.
No, she kisses me and that turns out to be a prank.
That
May
is
3rd.
so evil.
It was.
May 3rd.
Yeah, who's May 3rd?
Looks like you've got Bobby Cannavale.
Oh, I'm
Hey.
in.
Frankie Valli.
Nice.
She's
Just
a
all the
Jersey
famous
legend.
Yeah,
Italians.
the Tri-State Legends over here.
Christina Hendricks.
Christina Hendricks.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm not. James Brown. That's cool.
Oh, huge.
Bing
Amy-
Crosby.
Amy Ryan.
Bu-bu-bu-bu-bu.
Love Amy Ryan.
Yeah, me too. I don't like
Tiffany
that-
Amber Thiessen.
I don't like that
Thiessen?
I didn't come up when I Googled.
Yeah, you should be coming up. What the hell is
This
this
is-
junk list?
I need everybody listening to go boost me on famous birthdays.
Oh,
Please.
but you're number one on the website Famous Birthdays.
Hey.
Am I actually?
Yes, look at you. There you
Oh
are.
my God. Everybody did boost me.
You're right. You're way ahead of, YouTube star Danny Aarons.
This is weird. I'm looking this up. Producer Ben shares a birthday with Mud.
Who knew?
When is that birthday?
Crime?
Crime?
Oh
Yeah,
my
what else?
God.
The sound of motorcycle tires.
Shoplifting?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
No way.
Oh my God.
Do y'all know where Barbra Streisand was born?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, New
She's a
York.
Brooklyn girl.
No
she
way.
went to
She's from East Flatbush.
Erasmus High School,
She sure
where
did.
my grandmother went.
No way.
My grandmother always points out that, of course, Barbara's much younger than her, which is big growth on my grandmother's part.
Nice. Did she not always do that?
No, she had false documents for a very long time.
You're lying.
But she had,
and so was she.
Her passport was full of lies.
Oh my God.
The highest level of document. But she now finally admits whenever I say, well, of course, you and Barbara high school together. She went, but I was there years before her.
Erasmus, of course, no longer exists.
Yeah.
The building still exists.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She's a Brooklyn gal.
She's a Brooklyn gal from East Flatbush. And then I think when she was quite young, her parents left Brooklyn and her father died on like a hike.
Ooh.
He like fell on a hike and hit his head and died when she was like 1 year old.
This is why I stay in New York City.
That's why you
I don't
don't
need to
hike.
go on no hikes.
That's
So
horrible.
then they have to move back to Brooklyn. They live in Williamsburg.
Hey now.
Pretty cool.
Wait, okay. I'm sorry. I just need to say this. The building that I lived in Crown Heights, it was the
Brooklyn Jewish
formerly
Hospital.
known as the Brooklyn Jewish Hospital. That is the hospital that Barbra Streisand was born.
Also the hospital my grandmother and great aunt
And it
were
was
born
built on your birthday.
And it was built on my damn birthday.
in. And you,
My
and
grandmother,
at least
Ben's building, your
my
birthday,
grandma.
Rachel's note card.
My best friend.
Yes.
We recorded at least one blank check at the Brooklyn
Several.
Jewish Hospital. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
A few.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Remember when your girlfriend would just sit in the bed and watch us because there was nowhere to
It was
go?
a tiny apartment.
It was
There
a
you
studio.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
you got to
Um,
do what you got to do.
Had
Yeah.
to do what we had to do.
So they moved to Williamsburg very hip.
They moved back to Williamsburg. Apparently, she was Barbara was in poor health
Mm.
when she was a kid, underweight, a lot of ear infections, bronchitis. She was sent to a health camp
Okay.
in upstate New York when she was a kid. And then
That sounds like the most depressing
it seems like it was
thing.
traumatic.
Health camp.
Yes.
I'm going to health camp.
where they probably
Mom.
just like scrub you or I don't know what they did. And when she returned from health camp, her mother, Diana, had met her next husband, Louis Kind.
Okay.
This is from the dossier. So this is JJ's judgment of her, the financially unsound son of a tailor
Okay.
who veered into real estate, selling used cars, gambling, and other vices. So Barbara has a bunch of half siblings, from this second marriage, and doesn't like him. He's bad. He
Was
eventually
she-
abandons the family when she's 14 years
Was
old.
she the only child of her
Yes.
parents? Okay.
So, just try and think of like young Jewish girl in Brooklyn, kind of a shitty life, right?
Mhm.
Dreaming of musicals. It's very storybook in a way. Like
Yes.
she loves like singing in the rain, right? She just
Same.
wants to be in movies. Same. Yes.
Yeah.
Or
In a way, we
just
are
wants
all
to sing.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara's just got that thing where it's like, I didn't know any of this information, right? But everything you're saying just fits into my
It makes
conception of
sense.
her, where it's just like, she is one of those people you can point to in the history of popular entertainment where you're just like, inevitable,
Yeah.
destined.
And
right?
yet,
Yeah.
she's quote unquote like not conventionally attractive, right? Like, people make
Yeah.
fun of her. She's got a big nose.
But that's
like,
so
whatever.
much of it, where it was just like on paper, this is not the thing that the studios go for. She doesn't fit the particular mode, but just like undeniable, touched with greatness, talent, and just this sense of like purpose and clarity of what she was working towards.
Went to Erasmus High, was in the choral club, never did the school plays. Her justification, quote, why go out for an amateurish high school production when you can do the real thing?
This is what I'm saying. Like she
Is
knew.
that
That's a real quote from her
She knew.
biography.
my senior quote?
Yeah.
You did high school
Except I was in
plays.
all 4 years of my
Right.
high school musicals.
Wait, what were your 4 high school musicals?
I was Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
Hell yeah.
I was Ariel in The Little Mermaid.
Jesus.
Heard
I
it.
was Dorothy Brock in 42nd Street.
Oh, that's the show.
And then I was Fiona in Shrek the Musical, famously.
Yes, that I knew you were.
That made it onto Graham Norton.
Yes, I knew you were.
Yes.
God,
you
I
were
was so
You did Shrek.
embarrassed.
No, that's what you mean. That's what Graham Norton's
showed-
there for.
They just showed like the picture of me with like the big fucking green nose on in front of Kenneth Branagh.
No, Rachel. I felt a little cringe.
Oh no, you've never been on the show. You've never been on the show.
The
We're gonna
pointing is very good.
yeah.
There's some like British esteemed legend of theater. So it's always the
Kenneth
funniest.
fucking Branagh.
Ken Brown. Well, that's pretty cool.
And then Vicky McClure, who's like I don't know how to say that she's like the equivalent of something in the States besides like Ellen Pompeo, because she's
Yes,
like
big TV
she's
star.
on every TV show.
Line of Duty. She's
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
that
Line
line.
of
Yeah.
Duty.
She always
Yeah.
plays like a cop or a doctor. or a doctor cop.
You're nicked, mate.
Yeah.
You're nicked,
She's
and I'm going to
nicked.
take out your appendix.
Officer Doctor.
Doc cop, babes.
Yeah.
That's a DJ
I've
Catrona
got a drinking
idea. No one
problem.
can steal that.
Cop babes.
DJ Catrona wants Doc Cop to be his thing.
That
That's fair.
seems like, slam dunk. Networks are
Exactly.
desperate right now. Come on.
Syndication, baby. Here we
Yeah.
come.
Because we always joke about like unknown British TV shows where it's like a blank who moonlights as a detective on the side. To make it a cop who moonlights as a doctor or vice versa is really
I
funny.
love that.
Now, if somebody was moonlighting as something in A Star Is Born in the 70s, who would be doing what?
Someone's moon. Okay, so
Is Esther moonlighting as, like,
what, a detective?
yeah,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe she's
uh,
actually just trying to get to the bottom of how does Chris Christopherson get all this coke?
I think Chris Christopherson
Right.
is,
How do you pay for
Yeah.
this house, man?
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson is moonlighting as the Lorax, I think.
Save the
I
trees.
speak for
babe.
the truffle trees.
Okay, look,
Oh my
I just
God.
need to tell
Get
you
out my
that-
fucking face, Onceler.
Who is the Onceler of A Star Is Born? It's the mean agent.
Paul Mazursky.
Paul
Yeah.
Mazursky.
David?
Yep.
The economy.
No,
I know. That's
it's
never.
actually more robust than the press would have you think.
But you know what?
What?
It's hard talking about the economy in this economy. It ain't cheap talking about the economy.
Hard doing an ad read in this economy.
In this economy, it's hard.
Look, I used to spend over $100 a month on streaming services.
Same, bro.
Netflix,
Big same.
Disney Plus,
All of them.
Prime, you name it. But
Yes.
then since I started using ExpressVPN, I've been able to cut back and save so much every month. You know why?
Why?
Well, all these streaming services like Netflix have thousands more shows than you think, because if you switch to another country,
Mhm.
they got a completely different library.
Basically hidden behind a door. There are whole other rooms you never knew about.
Check out that Italian Netflix, okay? It's got nice ciabatta.
Yeah.
Right? Mozzarella.
We did the legal movie draft for The Big Picture.
We sure did.
I was having a hard time finding all the Grishams, and I went, let me check ExpressVPN. They're all on Disney Plus in the UK.
There you go.
It was one-stop shopping. Ran through them.
Because you just have to use the ExpressVPN app
Mhm.
to change your online location.
That's all you
You
got.
got 90 countries to choose from.
Yeah.
Every time you run out of stuff to watch, switch to another country, unlock some new shows.
It's incredibly simple. I will say my mother and my brother both live in Europe now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to sign up for all these newfangled European streaming services while they have these old American subscriptions.
Okay.
ExpressVPN. Gave them the promo code. They do it. It changed their lives.
On top of that, you can even use it to get discounts.
Mhm.
Some services cost less in other countries. Maybe you buy Netflix from Argentina, costs a fraction of the price.
We love our Argentinian Netflix. We love it.
It's the beef, so
Oh.
cheap there.
The olives.
And I don't mean Netflix's beef, but maybe I do.
Yeah. Possibly.
At less than $7 a month, ExpressVPN pays for itself and so much more. It's a no-brainer. So if you want to get way more shows and save money while you're at it, go to expressvpn.com/check. Don't forget to use my link so you can get 3 extra months for free. That's expressvpn.com/check. expressvpn.com/check to learn more.
It's my link too. It's a shared link. Joint custody. Okay. Okay, buddy.
Okay, so when Barbara's a teen, she goes on Broadway, she sees The Diary of Anne Frank.
Mhm.
Yes.
This is when she's like, I am going to be an actress.
Yeah.
This is a quote from her. It was a thrilling experience sitting in the last row of the balcony. The ticket was $2.85.
God.
You couldn't sit very close because when you sit, you couldn't afford it. But when you sit far away from the whole stage, you don't see the reality of the actor's pores. You don't see the makeup. You get swept along with the illusion. Her mother decides that this idea is terrible. She'll be humiliated and it'll be a total fiasco. But Barbara starts working at a Chinese restaurant, starts saving up money, starts going to the Cherry Lane Theater, meets Anita Miller and Alan Miller, who worked under Lee Strasberg, starts auditioning for stuff, moves into their house when she's 16 years old.
No way.
This is kind of cool. And she's like a cool, like beatnik, this is like late 50s, I imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And does a little play in 1958 called Seawood opposite Joan Rivers.
Wow.
No one goes to see it. And then does a couple other shows and decides to do a talent show at a club called The Lion.
Okay.
And she writes her name on the audition sheet as Barbra because there were too many Barbaras. Of course, Barbra Streisand spells her name wrong.
Yeah, she
Barbara.
dropped the A.
Right.
Dropped the middle A.
Yeah, it's cleaner.
As legend has it, she blows the competition out of the water, kicks off her career as a nightclub singer, and then she's discovered by Peter Daniels, her first sort of arranger.
Okay.
And she does an 11-week engagement at the Bonsoir. I don't know what that is. Did a double bill with Phyllis Diller, and then does a tour and does an appearance on The Tonight Show with Jack Parr.
Streisand.
This is like
Phyllis
the kind of
Diller must have been an unbelievable evening of
Can you
entertainment.
imagine?
in young Streisand
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and Phyllis Diller was
Baby.
probably very young at that point, like 90, 95. It was early in her career. What's the show she meets Ellie Gould on?
I can get it for you wholesale.
Okay, right.
The Arthur Lawrence directed play. Yes.
The greatest Jewish couple of all time. Like the true Jewish
that's where she meets
relationship
Ellie Gould.
goals. This could be us, but you're playing.
Yes.
Yeah. You've seen the photo of them in the pool, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just the
Of course.
greatest picture anyone's ever taken.
Yeah, then I mean, they did it for Barbie promo.
Yeah.
They recreated that
Yeah.
without saying they were recreating that.
Yeah.
But those who know.
Yeah. It's the hottest photo of Elliot Gould ever taken. Number 2 is obviously Elliot Gould
The
and Grover on the cover of TV Guide.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
In 1963, she releases an album called the Barbra Streisand album. It is a huge hit. And then she becomes pretty much the most successful female singer in America until like Mariah Carey, basically.
Wow.
Right? You know, it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Really, like all of her early fame obviously is in singing, but she desperately wants to act more and all that. And she gets Funny Girl, you know, when is that? Like 68
68's when it's released.
is the movie.
The movie, yeah.
Right.
But
The
she
movie,
did.
sorry.
Show is 64.
Yeah, I was going to say she
Wow.
did it earlier than
How long
that.
did she do the show for?
Hmm?
How long was she in the show on Broadway?
At least a year,
Yeah.
probably. Back then you had to do a year.
Yeah.
Now you do 6 months.
I don't know about you guys. I liked Funny Girl. I thought it was good.
What, like the
Ben-
movie?
Yeah.
Ben, over the course of doing this podcast, has secretly been growing a huge Barbra Streisand fandom.
Yeah.
He
I love
watched
that.
What's Up, Doc?
Oh, great movie.
Several years ago, and
Yep.
that was the movie where he went. I believe your Letterboxd review was, "Oh shit, maybe old movies are good."
That's true.
I love that.
And then quietly since then, Ben's just been filling in the Streisand filmography
Why not?
and getting Babs pilled.
I'm starting to get it.
I love Funny Girl too.
Yeah.
I got Funny Girl as a Christmas present when I was a kid.
The
Like the
movie or like the
DVD.
record? Okay.
No, I got the DVD with, you know, Omar Sharif, and
Yes.
I was just I was shocked at how long that is a long,
It's a long-
movie.
2:30.
And it makes sense that they cut so much of it for the stage. Like My Man is not in the stage show, which is a sin, by the way.
She would sometimes sing at the end of the night.
Which
Right.
I think
Which
Leah
Leah
Michelle,
Michelle
just
just
did
did.
the other.
Hats off.
And she looks like she did it for about a year and a half. Then she
Okay.
reprised the role on the West End
Nice.
in 1966. But then she got pregnant and had to drop out.
Okay.
Some other people who played that role, though, Lainey Kazan, Gene
Mhm.
Stapleton, Kay Medford. So that's like, that's the big and that show is like, we could do a whole fucking thing on that show. Like Bob Fosse was involved briefly, Sidney Lumet was involved, like
Wow.
Carol Burnett, like all kinds of crazy things happened with that show. But obviously, that's what she wins the Tony, right?
Yes, and she wins the Oscar.
No, she loses the Tony. I knew this was.
Oh,
Oh, geez.
Yes, I have to look this up. All right, sorry.
No, she
she
is
shared the Oscar, didn't she?
She did.
With
She
Katharine Hepburn.
for Lionel Winter,
For Lionel Winter.
but
yes,
Hepburn
yeah.
doesn't show up, so she
No,
just
yeah.
accepts it.
She accepts it. But
And
you
it's
know she's bad.
oh yeah,
You know she's fucking
she.
pissed.
Well, they also only gave her the bottom half.
Oh my god.
That's not true. She got her own stat.
She lost to Carol Channing for Hello Dolly.
Right, and then
Which
she
was a
fucking
huge show.
snipes Channing later.
Yes, yes.
So that's just a nice looking movie you got there. Be a shame if someone else played the part.
Oh my god.
but
the
no,
Julie Andrews effect.
Yep.
Yes, 100%. But yeah, I guess, I mean, it's also like that thing, like the Tonys, they do it just like the Oscars do it, where they're like, well, you're young, you'll be back.
Yeah.
Like, we got to give it to Carol Channing.
Versus
right now.
Funny
Yeah.
Girl, she's
And then
in.
she's never really, given another shot at a Tony.
Funny Girl's the limited
For last Broadway
pantheon
show.
of acting Oscars for first performance ever. And it happens so much more rarely with the lead categories. The couple of
Yeah.
times it's happened, it's more often supporting.
Yes.
For lead, it's like her and Marley Matlin are maybe the only.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't summon that for you right now.
Okay, but the point is, she wins an Oscar for her first movie ever.
Crazy.
Yes, they do the movie. She wins the Oscar.
Yes.
She does tie, which is bizarre.
Immediately
Just give it to her.
a huge star.
Yes.
Her star has gotten even bigger,
So then
Yeah.
she does
Yeah.
Hello, Dolly.
Yeah.
which is kind of an infamous flop.
Kind of a flop. What do you
Yeah.
think? Have you seen Hello,
Which
Dolly?
having revisited, yeah, I've seen Hello Dolly. Having revisited it, I don't really understand why it was such. I don't know. I guess
It's a little like slow and kind of bloated, or
for
what?
sure, but
yeah.
we could make that argument for so many movie
Yes.
musicals of that era.
I find
you
it
know,
very charming.
I think
do
it's
too.
super
It
charming as
also
well.
looks- it's lush.
It's literally the Music Man.
Yeah.
It's got the same charm as the Music Man and the same color
Mhm.
palette and everything like that. I imagine that they thought it was a surefire hit on their hands.
I think it's just that kind of movie was going out of
That's
style
what
at
I was
that
gonna
time.
say.
Yeah.
It's like the shift from 68 to 69. Does Dolly come out 69 or 70?
Dolly is 69.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's just already the
We're
wheels were
on the way
falling
out.
off the old Hollywood musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
She makes a movie called On a Clear Day You Can See Forever, which I've never
Mhm.
seen.
Vincente Minnelli movie.
Which is another adaptation of a musical. On set, she has an affair with Pierre Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada,
Oh.
Okay.
which is a big scandal.
Mhm.
Then she makes The Owl
her
and the
and Gould
Pussycat.
Split up at that point?
When did she split up with Gould?
Was it a two-way
They
affair?
divorced in 1971.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's around there.
And
Yeah.
she has a child at this point
Yes.
Yes. Because she gets pregnant during the West End
during the
run.
West
Right.
End run
Yeah.
of Funny Girl.
And that is that her only kid? How many kids does she have?
I think. Am I wrong? I think that's wrong. Many
Jason
dogs. Many
Gould.
clone dogs. But yeah.
Many cloned dogs. Yes.
Yeah.
God, she has dated some
Oh, yeah.
incredible people. Andre Agassi,
Really?
Clint Eastwood,
I mean, that's
James Newton Howard.
Ooh.
This is such a list.
wild.
Peter Jennings.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
RoboCop. Peter Weller.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
not
thought they
actual
were
RoboCop.
listing RoboCop as a character.
Um,
She did Peter Weller?
yeah, she did.
That's wild.
All right, she's in The Owl and the Pussycat,
Uh-huh.
the movie with George Siegel.
Yeah.
That movie's pretty fun.
Yeah, and that movie was a hit.
She's in What's Up, Dog? What's Up, Doc? One of the best
Huge
movies ever made.
Great
Big
movie.
hit.
Yeah.
Funny. She's so funny.
She is so funny.
But this is what's interesting is like after Hello Dolly, right? She does, and On a Clear Day You Can See Forever, which also did not have as big a response. She just kind of goes like, I guess I need to pivot,
Mm,
right?
Yeah.
Like I was a movie musical star,
yeah.
but if that's going out of fashion, I'm going into comedies and dramas. Maybe I still have my place to sing, but like I'll shift.
Have any of you seen Up the Sandbox?
It is one
I
of the
have
greatest
not.
posters.
Look at this weird poster. So this
I'm blind.
she makes in 1972.
She's
You're
tied
blind.
to a
I didn't realize
giant
you were blind. I'm sorry.
baby bottle, Rachel,
Yeah, she's tied to a giant
Oh.
baby bottle. It's about a
like
mom
on her back.
who's
Oh.
bored in New York City and starts having crazy fantasies such as Fidel Castro sweeping her off her feet, or blowing up the Statue of Liberty, shit
Oh,
like
great.
that. Never seen it. It's an Irvin Kershner movie, but what's
Wow.
important about it is it's the first movie produced by First Artists,
Mm.
which is going to produce A Star Is Born as well.
Mhm.
Mm.
Which is the sort of like these actors would take lesser fees who were involved
Sure.
with it to get more creative control. Like Paul Newman and Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, other actors at the time, are using First Artists as well.
I just think what's interesting about her is that there are many interesting things about her, but
Mhm.
a thing I think is interesting about her is that she's sort of a young star in the old Hollywood mold, hitting right as the old Hollywood studio system is breaking down and the old genres are breaking down. And she like adapts immediately. Like she just like jumps over to the 70s and is
Yeah.
totally carried over as like new Hollywood star. She's going to work with the stars of the moment. She's not trying to like hold on to the traditions
Yeah.
of the things she grew up with, you know?
That's true.
She just
She evolves. As
she evolves
as
and it's like
needs
I'm
to.
now going to represent the modern woman.
Yeah.
But she still does like big, epic movies. The Way We Were, obviously, is her next giant hit
Mhm.
Yeah.
with Redford. Sort of a I don't know, like a TV classic when I was a kid.
I've never seen
Always
it.
on.
Yeah.
It's good.
I need to watch
I mean,
it.
it's kind of dumb, but it kind of rules.
I'm gonna use this series to fill in some Barbra gaps.
Then she did a couple of movies that don't really work. Something called For Pete's Sake, which is sort of a What's Up Doc type thing, like a comedy. That's how she meets Jon Peters because she wanted a specific hairstyle for the movie, and he is a hairdresser.
He was, of course, notoriously
her hairdresser. And then she does Funny Lady,
Right.
the sequel to Funny Girl that is less good.
The long-awaited sequel. It's a Funny Girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jon Peters says to her, and this is from her biography, you need to do hotter and sexier and younger roles because you have a great ass.
yes,
And she
Oh.
takes this to heart and makes A Star Is Born.
right. Are they dating at this point?
I don't know.
The lines are a little blurry on their relationship and when they were officially dating and when they weren't, because I think oftentimes there were other people.
Other
And he
people
was married
involved.
to Leslie Ann Warren.
Yes.
Jon Peters is one of the most like canonically insane people to ever work in Hollywood.
Yes.
He's amazing. He's terrible. You
Yes.
can read all about him.
I am such a fiend for his interviews. He's one of the most fascinating interview subjects. The way he speaks, you just go like, and you read stories about him, the way people talk about the way he behaved and talk, and you go like,
Right.
I cannot imagine this existing in the real world.
Yeah.
And Bradley Cooper's performance in Licorice Pizza, which I've waxed poetic about many times on this podcast,
Great
is
performance.
astounding because you're just like, within 10 minutes, this guy has actually conjured up what it must
Yeah.
have felt like to talk to this guy
Yes.
in his peak.
Yeah.
Have you interacted with Jon Peters?
No,
He's out there in the wilderness.
Right.
now,
From what you're talking about with the interviews and everything, that
Yes.
when Bradley came on screen in Licorice Pizza, I knew exactly what was about to happen.
It's astonishing. I rewatched
It
all of
was
his
so
things.
wonderful.
He's so good in that movie.
It is.
Rudely ignored by the Oscars.
He should have won.
and-
But yes, he still today in modern interviews will basically phrase things the exact same way. And as like a bragging point, he'll say like, I was the first person to point to Barbara and go, you got a great ass. You need to be hot in movies now.
You're like, oh, thank you.
No,
Thanks.
it's-
Let's get you back to
look,
bed.
it's pretty crass, but he did to some degree, I think, help transition a new era of her career in her deciding to take ownership of things, right?
Well, to be fair, that advice from the right person
Yes,
is life-changing.
absolutely.
You know?
But
Out of
also-
context, it sounds like
we should all
yikes.
embrace our hotness. But yes,
Yeah,
I
we
think he
should
had a
all
blunt.
embrace our great asses.
And
I
I
agree.
think so much of her persona, I mean, this is all the kind of like the ego of Barbra Streisand, right? What is so fascinating about her as a movie star is like her ego and her insecurity at the same time that is
Yeah.
constantly balancing itself out. And all this sort of legend about how controlling she is and how like protective she is of her image, but also her things are all about her sort of like not feeling good enough or whatever. And most of her movies up until Star is Born are playing on the like, I don't know, I'm just some goofy girl from Brooklyn.
yeah.
You know, I'm trying to make people give me respect to like
Yeah.
one degree or another. And Star is Born is obviously like, it starts with that point, but so much of it is about her cocooning out of that
Right.
into fully owning the kind of stardom that she obviously had, but was always in conversation with this sort of sheepish, well, I don't look like the other girls. I'm too loud. I'm
Yeah.
too
Right.
this.
I'm
Yeah.
an ugly duckling type, but
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
but obviously great, beautiful talent
Yes.
Yeah.
within all of that.
It was oddly the reality for every woman that ended up playing that
Mhm.
part in
Janet
the
Gaynor,
version.
Judy-
Janet Gaynor,
Mhm.
Judy Garland.
Yes.
I think they called Judy Garland a hunchback, tried to change her face. They actually put that in the movie.
It's wild that all four movies star people who were already megastars at that point and yet needed some transformation
yeah.
into the next stage of their career.
Yeah.
Like it was all of them. It's not like they had hit the end,
No.
but all of them were like, I need to find the next thing. I
Yeah,
need
exactly.
to fully enter a new
and that's
phase.
why the Judy Garland one is so particularly heartbreaking
Yes.
because she should have won for it.
and she
Okay.
didn't get to ride out the success of it.
Yeah.
Rachel, you watched All the Stars Are Born.
I did.
Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about A Star Is Born.
I
Now that
watched
we're at A Star Is
The
Born.
Yeah.
first two before we did our Bradley Cooper episode years ago.
Right.
And then I had never seen this
And you had
one.
never seen this one.
I'd never seen this one, watched this one.
It's so funny
this.
because so much of Bradley's is
It
taken
is
from
a
this
direct
one.
remake.
Yeah.
It is wild. I'm astonished people don't talk about it more. There are so many things. Obviously, not just the first two are in
Right.
Hollywood. They are movie stars. It's
movie
her
stars
winning
in
an
that.
Oscar, whatever. But like the characterization of Jackson Maine is so similar to this guy.
Mhm.
The transmuting it into the music world.
Yeah.
But even like it has the tracing of the nose.
bit, yeah.
It basically has the I just want to take another look at you
Mhm.
Right.
with him
which-
saying
Well,
I'm
that's
just
in all
looking.
of
that's in all of them.
Yeah.
It just the way it manifests in this
Mhm.
is so many elements. You just feel like Bradley Cooper watched this movie and was like, someone could make this like 20% better.
20%. Exactly. Because it's just
Well,
it gives her
60%.
a bit more autonomy and
Yeah.
and a lot of things are a bit more earned than in the 70s one. I
Yeah.
feel
This movie is shaggy
yeah.
to the extreme.
Yeah.
I know its reputation is really crappy, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Maybe
Mhm.
just because I went in with such guarded expectations.
This movie feels like people were high when they made this,
This
and
is-
edited
and they
this.
100%
sure
were.
were.
This is a movie
My
that was
friends.
executive produced by cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those.
But
Like
then there were some
100%.
co-exec producers from like Grass and Pills
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Acid and whatever, you know, everything.
Gary Busey.
Lubes.
There's that opening credit that says a drugs production in association with Warner Brothers.
in association with booze.
Yeah.
Because like the Cooper movie obviously is very like booze soaked, but in this very
Yes.
authentic way where you're like with a guy who's like, you know, got 5 minutes left, right? You know,
That's
he's
also-
like
look,
really like, you know, in it.
It's obviously the thing. Bradley Cooper's been very open about his struggles with sobriety and
Right.
his battle to get there and everything. That's the big value that movie has. Is like it's being made by someone who's playing the character who's been through hell
Yeah.
and is really
but that's
working
why
through his experience
the
on screen.
character is given a lot more of
Yes.
an effort where he's actually trying to get better.
Yeah, because
Yes.
that character's
You know.
always doomed, but he's the only one who feels like a real guy in a way. I like
Yeah.
all the guys in all the Stars Are Born.
I feel like the Judy Garland one, he's really
He's
he
amazing in
goes
that
to
movie.
a
Yeah.
he goes to a facility. It's
Yes.
like with this one, Chris Christopherson's just kind of like, hey, and then we'll get married and we'll disappear into the desert and I'll
Let-
forget about my drug problem.
Yeah, let's build a house out
Let's
here,
build a
man.
house right here, and also we're gonna have sex right here
Yeah.
in the desert.
I don't know what shirts are. I'm allergic to them.
Christopher
They just fly right off me.
kind
They
of
really do.
incredible.
He's
in this.
amazing.
He
in
is.
this
He's
movie.
so.
I don't know if it's a good performance. It's very
Well,
natural.
it's like an incredible
Like,
energy
yeah.
performance. The characterization
I
is.
love him.
I love
I'm
him
pretty
too.
much always in the bag for
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah.
if he shows up in any fucking thing,
The
I'm like,
first
great.
note I took when I was watching it was Chris Christopherson is daddying all over the place.
Yes.
That's the note I took.
That's exactly.
It's also so funny because, like, I mean, what
Have you seen Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore?
Yes.
Like he's amazing in that. Like, you know, he's such a natural actor. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
yeah,
He
it's
can
also
play
just,
like one of three types, but like he's really good at it.
yeah, no, I
Exactly.
agree.
Yeah.
He could play Blade's assistant.
Yes, I found this out just
He's
like
Blade's
reading a
assistant.
little bit of his
Blade.
like
Oh my
history. I had no
God.
idea.
Yeah, here's some
That's
steaks.
hilarious.
Sorry, what you were saying about Chris.
No, I think, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong in the dossier, but my understanding of the cultural reputation of this movie was always like, you know, Star is Born, they've remade the movie. The second one was even better, right?
Yeah.
Barbara, at the time, her star is huge. She's sort of like, in the press, you know, it feels like they make a Star is Born every 20 years. It's one of those stories that needs to get told every 20 years
Right.
as the industry changes, as
Mhm.
the reference points change, whatever. We're overdue. She decides this is her big passion project. She's teamed up with Jon Peters now. They're going to produce this thing and handpick the writer and the director and everything. And they go through these different versions of the leading men that we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And they land on Christopherson. And people were like, why the fuck are you casting Chris Christopherson, the singer, to be, that's like a dramatic part. That guy can't carry this weight.
Mm.
And the movie comes out and he's the thing that people were the most positive about.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously the soundtrack's humongous, right? And the film's a really big hit.
This movie is
Yeah.
the second biggest movie of the year.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
read the reviews and people are like, Christopherson's the good thing.
Because
Wow.
he's new. I mean, Barbara was
He's
sort
a,
of
he's
old
a
hat.
shock. He's a
Yeah,
shock.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're like,
Right.
dang. Like,
There's a lot
yeah.
more here than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
But the characterization is very thin. It does not go
It's
deeper.
very thin.
And the
It's thin for
character
both of them.
comes for both of them,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
The character comes off as very dumb. Like whereas
Yeah, yeah,
Jack
yeah.
Maine, as you said, is like really trying, and you believe like this guy has like he had something.
Yeah, he had something. He has baggage. He's got a
Yes.
past. He's got a reason for feeling the way. He's got Sam
cares.
Elliott.
Right.
It's like There's
Yeah,
just
Sam
a lot more where when I
this
remember,
movie lacks a Sam Elliott.
that's the thing. When I
Yeah.
was first watching it, I really thought they were amping up Gary Busey to be this Sam Elliott type character, and it just didn't happen.
No.
And it kind of left something to be
Look, he's
desired.
in the air. He's
around.
helping to contribute to the atmosphere of
Yeah.
the film.
Which I have to say, the calmest I've ever seen Gary Busey in a movie.
he was
He's
calmer back
oddly
then.
shocking.
It's wild.
I think I
He's
wrote,
like a steady presence.
I said Gary Busey is to A Star Is Born what Joe Pesci was to The Irishman, unhinged playing hinged.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Yep, uh-huh.
Nailed it.
And that's my analogy
Yeah.
for the whole film.
He's still
and I'm done.
I think he's still this sort of like interesting up and coming actor. Like
Yeah.
he'd been in Thunderball and Lightfoot.
Lightfoot, yeah.
He gets the Oscar nomination like a couple years after this.
Right,
Like
right. This
Buddy
is
Holly
pretty-
is
yeah.
after this. And it's like, well, look out. Gary Busey. Like
He
this
was
is your,
supposed to do Nashville.
Mhm.
Okay, sure.
Was he supposed to be the Keith Carradine? The
I
David?
think he was.
Yeah.
Wasn't he supposed to do that?
Because
That's
he
cool.
he writes a couple
that's a
of
different movie.
he writes a couple of the songs that end up in the film.
Mm.
Oh.
Mm.
Not I'm Easy, because Carradine obviously wrote that. But there are one or two songs, Since You've Gone, which is the song the trio sings, is written by Gary Busey. Because he was in
Wow.
the rehearsal process for
That's
that.
crazy.
But yeah, he was in this sort of like, the guy's a good musician, he's a good songwriter.
I had no
He
idea.
He's sort of like
He's tall and he's
Yeah.
interesting looking. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
he's
but
a
like foot in
presence.
both worlds. And then Buddy
Yeah.
Holly is the one where it's like, well, now we've totally crystallized lightning in a bottle. This
I gotta
guy's
see that movie. You never seen it, right?
No, we should watch it.
Yeah, let's just watch it.
Yeah, let's have a
Right
friend
now,
date
here,
and watch.
Rachel. Okay. All right. So no,
Yeah.
Star is Born. Okay, so this is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
1937 Star is Born with
Gorgeous.
Janet Gaynor,
Yeah.
which is good.
It's a
David
good
O.
movie.
Selznick
Yeah.
production.
There's the 54 one with
Mhm.
Garland, which is amazing.
Amazing.
And is, as you say, so you're just sort of like, oh God, it's so like mixed up with reality too. Like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. The whole time you cannot stop thinking. I mean, I couldn't
Yes.
stop thinking, knowing everything that I know about Judy Garland.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so heartbreaking to watch. And then to just think like, because I think what the reality of that was everybody thought she was going to win.
Yes.
There were cameras in her hospital room after she gave birth. Is that not a true story?
Yes. No, I thought
Oh,
that,
it is.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah. And then she
Yes.
lost to Grace Kelly for doing something so similar.
Yeah.
Like Grace Kelly just did something a little bit different.
she did a D-glam.
Yeah.
But it's one of
50s
those like
D-glam.
truly tragic, like it feels like a moment out of A Star Is Born,
Yeah.
where it's like she's there in a hospital room,
Yeah. With her freshly born child.
right, holding a baby, getting ready to grab an Oscar, you
And,
know.
And she loses.
Yeah, and then there's just that moment where it's like the camera crew all just like
Leave.
disassembling and just being like, "Well, smell you later."
Yeah. Congrats.
You're just
on,
immediately trashed.
congrats
you know,
on the child.
like the
Yeah.
highest high, the lowest low. They
Truly.
immediately just make you feel like we have no interest in you anymore.
Well, yeah. And I remember, I think it was George Cukor talked about it, where he said that, they were doing that. He was directing her in the scene where she talks about how she can't help but love her husband and wants to support him through it. And she feels like she's failed him too. And it was just so true to her life
Right.
at that point in
Yeah.
time. It's devastating to watch because she was having such a problem and struggling with her
It's-
addiction.
An incredible performance.
It's
Yeah.
why she's so good in it.
Do you folks
I
know
hear.
the controversy with the missing footage on that movie?
Oh my God. I love the version of it with just the stills and the sound.
Yeah. so
Have you
the-
watched it like that?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how I had seen it. And there
Yeah.
was like, because it was one of those movies where there was a roadshow cut and then they cut it down like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Warner Brothers had been trying to restore it forever and they got close, but there was still a little bit missing.
Yeah.
So in its current incarnation, you watch it with like still photos
Right.
over audio
Yeah.
for
Over,
a
like,
couple parts.
It's kind of
Yeah,
amazing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, I'm going to get the specifics of this wrong, but there was like a guy who's like a kind of archivist, film preservationist who like took on like finding elements of films that the studios had abandoned and holding on to them himself.
Yeah.
And there was some movie, maybe it was Streetcar Named Desire or Rebel Without a Cause, some other film that Warner Brothers had where he gave them the elements to help their restoration and they didn't credit him properly. And he's the one who has the missing footage from Star Is Born. And he basically refuses to give
Out
it
of
to them
spite.
until Warner Brothers like
Gotta
Wait,
steal it.
kind of
Yeah.
good for him.
No, let's go get it.
Isn't that
well,
wild?
yeah, I
That
mean,
is
like
wild.
maybe he'll show it to us.
He'll show it to
yeah,
us.
we'll
yeah,
ask
we
him.
just gave him credit.
Nicely.
Yeah.
We think you're great.
We love you.
Whatever your
We're
name
here,
is.
We're
We'll
here
start
for the,
crediting you in every episode.
yeah.
All right. So John Gregory Dunn and Joan Didion are driving down the road.
Also, I
one
have
day.
to. I'm so sorry. I have to say this is how I found out Joan Didion wrote scripts. Had no idea.
This is
She had
you
her
know,
period.
Classic, like you're a celebrated, writer raconteur. Move to Hollywood,
This is
baby.
her
Write us
Barton
some
Fink
scripts.
era. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And she said, sorry, John Gregory Dunn, who's no longer with us, says, well, neither of them are with us anymore, who says, I can pinpoint the exact moment it was conceived. It was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, July 1973. I turned to my wife while passing the Aloha Tower in downtown Honolulu on our way to the airport. And I said 16 words I would later regret. James Taylor and Carly Simon in a rock and roll version of A Star is Born.
I mean, it's a good pitch.
Sounds pretty good.
It's a good pitch.
They just were sort of like, neither of them had seen the original 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
But they were just like a rock and roll version of that.
Just cultural
Even
osmosis.
though they don't know what that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They write a script. They take it to Warner's. They think maybe Warren Beatty or Mike Nichols can direct this. Warner's wants Peter Bogdanovich, who is very hot stuff. Mark Rydell is eventually hired.
Sure.
Carly Simon and James Taylor passed.
Interesting.
Mike and Bianca Jagger passed. Sonny and Cher passed.
It's wild. So they went to real couples.
Wait
Liza
a minute.
Minnelli, Diana Ross, Elvis Presley. We'll talk about in a second, obviously, but he was a big, Christopherson.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're telling me I could have had a Sonny and Cher?
Kind of fun to
It would have
think
been
about.
unbelievable.
Cher would have been
Cher would have been amazing.
holy shit.
Now, I don't know how Sonny would have been.
No clue.
Hey, Sonny would have been fine.
You think he would have sold the
Look closely now.
Nick and Bianca Jagger is kind of fun to think about.
Yeah.
It is.
But I don't know if Bianca can shoulder the star
Oh
weight.
my God.
Yeah.
Rydell gets fired. Jerry Schatzberg comes on board. Then it makes it to Streisand. Peters claims, I discovered this project. I found it for Barbra. I convinced her to do it. The character in my movie is a guy who's fighting all the time and hitting all the time, and he can't relate. It's a macho guy, which is very much like me. He's talking about, he's crazy.
He is. I mean, look, I think there's a lot of Peters.
Streisand takes it over with Peters. They bring it to First Artist, and now it's like their thing.
Peters loves to take credit for every single element of every movie that he had any involvement with. But this is the one where I'm like, he's a pretty strong authorial voice in this thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you feel a lot of Peters in this. For better and for worse.
Joan and John leave at this point. They're off. Peter and Streisand take over. Peters and Streisand take over. And they're basically like, yes, this will be our first creative project, where we're in charge.
Yes.
She says,
and I'm going to be sexy now.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, as Barbra says, there's a change in women's roles every 20 years. I want to make this character personal. I think this film will have a lot to say about the changing roles of men and women. Women are no longer afraid to confront male society. In the wedding scene, I'll be wearing a man's suit. I think that says a lot. That's why there should be a 90s Star is Born.
There should.
I know.
It should be canonically in every 20 years.
Really should be. And who would have done it though?
Whitney.
Do you have Whitney?
This is the question. The question is, did Bodyguard slide
sort of
in?
take the Star is Born?
Did it make?
Because it probably should have been Costner and Whitney.
Mariah Carey could have done it though.
Costner and Whitney would have been perfect.
Well,
that would have been cool.
But that's what glitter is.
That's
glitter
the problem.
literally is. It literally is.
It literally is.
And I have to say,
David,
I really like glitter.
Can you come back on the
for the Von D.
Patreon
Curtis
and
Hall?
we'll do. Hey, Von D. Curtis Hall is a good director.
Von D. Curtis Hall and I have worked together.
Really?
Yeah, we did readings of the Notebook musical together.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was so crazy to
was
then.
he acting in or directing?
He was acting in it.
So he's directed
playing the Garner part.
Playing the
He's an amazing.
Yeah,
He's an
the
amazing
oldest
actor.
Noah. He is.
Rules.
I love him as an actor, but he directed Gridlocked, which I've always maintained is a really good movie. The Tupac Tim Roth movie.
I think you mean Glitter.
He also directed Glitter,
which
I have never seen.
No. Stop.
So I would happily check out Glitter.
Glitter.
And then he made.
But when I tell you that Glitter is quite literally Mariah Carey, A Star is Born, in every sense of the word, it is.
I do think Costner and Houston are who it probably should have been if we're looking at cultural power of the 90s.
And when they passed, it would have been Mariah Carey.
Well, I think there's some other movies in the 90s and early 2000s like Glitter that are like someone being like, can I kind of make my Star is Born without doing Star is Born?
Yeah.
They avoided the real thing.
Which I get. Because as somebody who's done the remake prequel sequel train, It's a lot of fucking pressure and people are really mean.
There's a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah.
People are mean.
Yeah.
People have a certain idea of how things are supposed to go.
Unfortunately, Glitter came out like right after 9/11 and there was nothing else for anybody to make fun of. So they just made fun of Glitter.
Yeah.
Glitter
It was
was a
the
moment of
unifying
national
force.
healing for the
Yes,
country.
it really
we could
was.
all
But I
agree that
have
Glitter
to
It's
say,
the hit. Yeah.
having revisited Glitter, which this podcast is not about.
But maybe we're going to have
Maybe
to
it
do a
should
Glitter
be.
episode eventually.
Yeah, I have to say she has a very strong performance in it, and I would have loved A Star Is Born with Mariah
She's a
Carey.
good actor.
She really
She's
is.
great in the Lego Batman movie.
She's great in Precious. I'm trying to think.
She's incredible in Precious.
I'm trying to think what else she's even in. She doesn't.
Did she have a? Wait, it wasn't a cameo she had in Precious.
No, she's like
got a
it's
real
like-
ass role.
no.
she's the
She had a cameo in another Oscar movie though, wasn't it? Like she wasn't in. What was her cameo? Was it 12 Years a
She's
Slave?
in
It
The
wasn't.
Butler.
The Butler. Maybe
Yes,
was it The
maybe?
Butler?
Because she works with Lee Daniels.
Oh, you guys had a
We just
harmonic
synced up on that,
ah.
didn't
We
like
did.
that.
Beautiful.
You're right.
She's
There's
in
another
Pop Star, not Never Stop, Never Stopping. I mean,
Yeah.
should have won Oscars.
I feel like anytime, she parodies herself, she's funny.
she's good. I like
I
her.
enjoy her.
Bonnie
so
Curtis Hall's other movie is that movie Waist Deep with Tyrese and Megan Good, and I like Tyrese and
Megan
Megan
Good.
Good. I've
Love
never
Megan
seen
Good.
it,
Queen.
but
More like Megan Great.
Truly. Megan Best.
yes.
Hey, you're right.
And I just rewatched all the Saw
You're
movies,
right,
and
you're
Megan
right to
Good
say
is
it.
in 5.
Really?
Yeah, she's
didn't
in one
know.
of them.
David,
Yes.
I co-host a podcast. I don't know if you are aware of
Blank
this.
check, Griffin, David.
You are the other host on.
Yeah, don't know what to say or to expect.
All you need to know is the name of the show is Blank Check. People think it must be real cushy being a podcast host.
Sure, get to watch movies and talk about them.
Oh, what a nice existence you got.
But
They're not considering how much I worry.
about?
Everything.
Well, you do.
Are my takes hot enough? Are they too hot?
Uh-huh.
Am I entering the discourse? Am I leaving out? Did I forget to mention some important piece of context?
And
Did I not consider that one movie I dislike was another person's favorite movie, and that was rude of them to hear me say that? One thing I never have to worry about when I host is whether my guests will find their sleeping accommodations up to scratch.
oh, interesting. Why?
Well, I'm realizing now that this copy is about hosting people at your home,
Uh-huh.
like hosting guests.
Something you never do.
Right. And I just read this as if they were obviously asking me to talk about being a host of a podcast. I'm just realizing this in real time. And we're not taking this over. This is the ad read.
100%. You're talking about Burrow's new Shift Sleeper sofa.
Exactly.
It's one of those things everyone should have in their home.
Mm-hmm.
It's a comfortable everyday sofa
Mhm.
that easily converts into a queen-size sleep surface.
That's a nice surface.
genuine queen size,
Mhm.
not a full queen size sleep surface that sleeps 2 people very comfortably. I've got a Burrow.
Oh, you do?
I do. I don't have the sleeper sofa, although I am very intrigued.
Uh-huh.
I do have the Nomad sofa plus the sleep kit, which is another like sleep thing that they offer,
Sure.
which is really good. The best thing about Burrow, I live in New York City. It's hard to get couches
David.
through doors
Mhm.
and upstairs and so
Yep.
on and so forth. The Burrow breaks down very easily, and then you assemble it in your house.
It's easy to get in. It's easy to get out. I had a Burrow at my old apartment.
Yeah.
I miss it, actually.
Go get it.
Well, maybe. But I'll tell you, here's another thing I like. I know this isn't the one they specifically
Throw
bought
in a couple
ad space
garbage
to
bags,
talk
get
about.
on the 6
You
train.
could. You could bring it over one piece at a time. You could. It's easy to assemble. It's easy to disassemble.
I recently moved, and I said to like the movers, like, "I said this couch comes apart," and he's like, "Oh, believe me, I'm very familiar with Burrows. They are great for moving."
You want movers to like you?
Yes.
Buy some Burrows.
Yes.
Here's the other thing. You hear that, you go, oh, this is going to look like it's made out of Playmobil or something, right?
Oh, it must be junky. No.
It must be junky. No, you could fool anyone.
You could.
Anyone
It's a
but a
great sofa.
mover. The thing I was going to say, my Burrow I had at my old apartment, a feature I really like, even though they didn't put this in the copy.
Yeah.
They put like a charging cable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's like USB ports in between the cushions
Yeah. It's pretty clever.
so that you can plug your couch into
They
the
got
wall.
a lot of stuff like that.
And you can charge devices while sitting on the couch without having to reach over to the outlet. You know what I'm saying, Ben?
They're all about the thoughtful details.
It's good company.
And this Shift Sleeper sofa, when it's unfolded, it's
Mhm.
got layers of cooling memory foam. It's got comfort foam. It's got core foam. You got a nice night of sleep for any guest. It's so easy to get into your home. It's got a painless online shopping experience, free shipping to your door, and of course, easy to set up, as we said, assembled without tools in boxes you can move yourself.
Now, I want to restate, I myself, as a podcast host, am constantly uncomfortable, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
But this ad is about making sure you are creating comfortable circumstances for guests who may stay with you.
Sure. Right.
That's what they meant, not podcast guests.
No, but you do have a lot of anxieties about your hosting.
I do. I don't do
guess.
it. That's why.
Check out Burrow's new Shift
I meant
Sleeper.
home hosting, not the podcast hosting. It's just clarified.
Check out Burrow's new Shift Sleeper sofa and all their incredible furniture at burrow.com/check and get 15% off your Burrow order when you do. That's burrow.com/check for 15% off your Burrow purchase. Burrow.com/check.
I obviously do podcast hosting, even though I do have worries about it. Okay, there, buddy.
Okay, so A Star Is Born.
Star
Is Born.
We talk. No, it's totally fine. What about like an indie 90s star, like Bjork?
Yo.
You know?
Wait,
Sure.
Courtney Love.
Wait, who could it be?
No, do Bjork, Lars von Trier,
Just
Skarsgård.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Stellan
Yeah.
Skarsgård. I'm too fucked up. You know, I tried to do. Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
can't get these pants on. I have to be bottomless for another scene. But the whole thing with this movie is Frank Pearson's one of the best screenwriters in Hollywood.
Mm.
They're struggling to find a director. Sidney Pollack was almost going to do it. They'd obviously worked together on
Sure.
The Way We Were.
Right.
And they go to Frank Pearson and they're like, can we get you to do a rewrite on this? And Pearson so badly wants to kickstart his directing career that he's like, I will rewrite the script if you let me direct.
He was the 14th rewriter.
Yes.
So they brought in a ton of other writers.
And they were like, just bring it home, Frank. They're so desperate that they agree to give him the director chair.
Did you also know that she wanted Robert Altman to direct at one point?
Would have been wild.
He was
Very different
making
movie.
Nashville. It's a
Yeah.
very different movie.
Yeah.
She wanted Christopherson. Barbara wanted Christopherson for the lead role. Jon Peters wanted Mick Jagger, probably because he thinks like Mick Jagger's cool.
So Alice Doesn't Live Here has already happened at this point.
No.
No, this is his first movie.
This is like, because Alice is 74 and oh no, wait, maybe it is.
Right.
that.
This
Yeah,
is
so yeah.
76.
Yeah. So he's done Alice. He's done like Pat Garrett and Billy.
Okay.
the
He's
Kid.
done that as well. Okay.
Yeah. So he's acted.
Yeah.
And obviously their big reaches to Elvis, which is such a cool idea.
I mean, it just would.
Did you know this? Elvis
Didn't.
Presley.
Yeah, well, I assumed.
Not Elvis Costello, although I'd watch that too.
I would also watch
Yeah.
that.
Elvis Presley, who
What about Cher and Elvis Costello?
what about Sharon Elvis Presley?
So
Wait
true.
a second.
Yeah. I'm
No,
there
the
for
Elvis of it, like him having that Judy Garland weight to him. Would have
like the
been-
thematic way.
Yes.
Exactly. Now he hadn't done a movie in a couple years. Apparently Tom
More than a
Parker
couple.
asked. Well, he'd done a movie called Change of Habit in 69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's on tour. He's making tons of money. So Tom Parker is apparently like, I'll only do it for $1 million or whatever.
His
however he
other
talked.
thing, by all accounts, was that in the movie, the guy's obviously washed up, right?
Right.
And he's like, I don't want you to
Depict me as
position
that.
yourself
Yeah.
in that way. I'm making money hand over fist, which I'm then piling directly into debt, converting into debt.
Yeah.
But you on doing your residency at Vegas,
Yeah.
people might be making jokes about you being sweaty or puffy or whatever, but you're the biggest act. I don't want a movie out there that's billboarding you as drunk, circling the drain.
And it's interesting because you
on the
wonder
decline.
what it could have done to change the trajectory.
There's the scene in the Baz Luhrmann movie that I find very heartbreaking, where he's talking to Priscilla and he's like, I think I got more to give. Like, I can do this movie and I can show people the things I've never gotten to do. And it's an imagined scene, or a simplified dramatic scene.
Right.
But you just have to imagine that was his feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And you do feel like he would have brought a lot to it.
Probably would have crushed.
Would have been an
It would have
entirely
been
different
An
movie.
incredibly interesting movie.
Yes.
Mhm.
If it had even been made.
Yes.
Barbara does learn to play guitar for the film
Mhm.
and works on the melody that becomes evergreen, which wins her second Oscar for original song.
Becomes one of the best songs of the 70s.
Yeah.
She was handed that Oscar by Neil Diamond for some reason.
Okay.
And
He was also someone had been bandied about for the part at some point.
makes sense.
Yeah.
He's in the other ill-advised remake Jazz Singer in which he does blackface.
Mhm.
No one ever talks about it.
Oh. Gee, I wonder why.
Should I cut that out?
That Neil Diamond did blackface in the Jazz Singer.
You should cut it out of the Jazz Singer.
Yeah, cut
You
it
should
out.
rip a
Yeah,
copy
go
of the
get
Jazz
it.
Singer.
We can go find that guy who's doing archive work and
Yeah.
see if he can cut
Keep it in the
Yeah,
episode
come
because
on.
it's true, but cut it out of the fucking movie. Also, Laurence Olivier is wearing 12 fake noses in that film.
Yes, he is. That's an
Oh,
insane
no.
performance.
Yes.
Look, the highlight of production is they have a 55,000 person concert at the Sun Devil Stadium in Arizona.
It is astounding.
And Streisand is singing.
Yeah.
I was
Everyone's
gonna
going
say,
crazy.
Was it a concert? Like I always wonder with scenes like that, especially
Yes.
now that I've made movies. You wonder, is it a concert? And then they were like, this is also gonna be a filming day, or did they say show up filming? Streisand's gonna sing.
I think it's more the latter.
Like
Okay.
Cooper Star is Born, I think
They're
mostly
running on stage.
They used Gaga concerts for one of the scenes,
they
right?
did.
and they'd go to like music festivals or whatever. And
Yeah.
What
be
they were
like,
mostly doing
yeah.
was what Willie Nelson's son, what's his name?
Trying for the Real is the name of the
Yeah.
band.
You know, like
or
they would
something.
be doing
Promise
shows.
of the Real. Yeah.
And then, Bradley Cooper would run on stage for a bit and go like, black and open wide.
Often
And they'd be
it's that. They get like,
you
right,
get like
someone
5
they're
minutes.
friends with, and they're like,
Copy.
can we hijack your audience for 10 minutes and
Oh
film
my
a
god, it's like
performance?
The Idol.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very realistic show, right?
very realistic.
Mhm, that's what it's like.
Ripped from the headlines.
That's exactly what it's like.
But that sequence, because at first you're getting mostly shots focusing on the stage.
Yeah.
They'll cut out to the audience, and I'm like, maybe this is like stock footage. Maybe they went and got this B-roll at some
Sure.
real concert.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. It's a second
And then we're
unit.
just close up on the performance. And then there are moments where the camera like moves from the stage to the crowd.
Yeah.
And you just, viewed through a modern lens, cannot imagine
yeah.
having that many people on camera.
In both versions.
They just never do that for
it's
real anymore.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In both versions of like the 70s and the, the Bradley Cooper version, there are some wild shots with a real crowd.
Right. And it's
And I
like,
love
rules.
the bit in this version of this movie, the Streisand version, with where it kind of turns into a pseudo documentary at one point to kind of document her meteoric rise into
Yes.
stardom. I love that. Like it cuts oddly seamlessly, but it's also so out of place. But I subscribe.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I do too. Do you want me to tell you what Barbra Streisand told the crowd when they started filming that day?
Oh no.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
We're going to do rock and roll today,
Mm.
and we're going to be in a movie. In our movie, we're real. We fight, scream, yell. We talk dirty. We smoke grass. So listen, what we're going to do now is meet my co-star, Chris Christopherson. And when he comes on, I know you'll love him anyway, but you have to love him even more, so we won't have any problems. In the lingo of our movie, I say, all you motherfuckers have a great time. Imagine Barbra Streisand yelling at that at you while you're on grass.
I love it.
so can we talk about the thing now?
Yeah, please. What's the thing?
Is Barbra Streisand ever for a moment convincing as a rock star in this film? I think this is like the crux of any conversation around this movie, right? Which is like, I think she is good in it.
Sure.
Anytime she is
I think
singing,
she's such an arresting
it is
performer. She's never
undeniable.
really like bad.
no,
in
and that's like,
anything.
you read Ebert's review from the time. He gives us 2 out of 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, she never once is convincing in this role as they position her. It feels like a misframing of who she is and how she reads on camera. And yet, anytime she's singing, you are reminded that she is, his term he uses, undeniably one of the great elemental movie stars.
Yeah.
One of the best people to ever be on screen. And there is that thing where it's like, anytime the movie needs to sell, she's singing and people cannot deny what she's doing.
Right.
It works, other than the framing of what type of star she is.
Right.
And it feels odd because it's like 10 degrees off of, I have no doubt that she would have a meteoric success. But it feels odd,
Yeah.
the kind of star they're trying to pretend she is, versus Chris Christopherson, who is obviously just really this guy.
Right.
What
And
do you think? Rachel?
It's interesting because I feel like when I was watching it, I didn't even put her in the rock star box when I was watching it. I was just kind of like, oh, she's a famous singer.
Sure.
I didn't go like, oh, right, she's a rock star. I mean, it's a good point. It's like when we meet her, she's in like a smoky club
Right.
in her band, The Oreos.
The Oreos.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, you couldn't do that now.
No, she's the cream filling.
I really just could not believe that. And then that's the kind of music she kind of goes off to sing, but then she just gets like these very 70s
Right.
ballads.
She's a nightclub singer. Like
And
much more in line with who Barbra Streisand was as a recording artist at that
the time.
moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So I guess I agree. I mean, I do agree. You can't tell what kind of star she is, just the fact that she's a really good singer and she's singing for many, many people and getting very famous.
But that attitude of how she's like, prepping the crowd.
Yeah.
Right? Feels like
Right.
the thing she was doing of like, and it's part of this Jon Peters, like, I want you to be like sexy. I want you to be cool. None of this like sheepish,
Yeah.
like wilting willow kind of stuff, whatever. She's not a hard edged performer in that way.
No.
And I think the Cooper movie has a better framing of Gaga of like, this is what she'd like to be singing. This is sort of the pop mold she's getting put into because that's what you need to do in this industry.
Right.
Mhm.
But you understand underlying what her dream would be as a performer.
Yeah. And like even in the script to screen of that movie in particular, the star isn't born until the very end where she goes back to that type of
Yes.
singing, that
Right.
lyrical ballad singing and not, why did you do that? You know?
And
did you
Evergreen
do
is
that?
like such a
Yeah.
classical ballad.
Exactly.
And it's weird that it's in a movie that's like,
And this is the fucking pills and weed rock star
Right.
version.
And the industry's going to ruin you.
yeah.
And she doesn't get really affected by the industry at all in that movie.
Well, she has to sing about her jeans.
Just
And Alec Baldwin introduces her on SNL.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, no, I'm talking
in
about
this version.
Streisand, yeah.
No, in this
No,
version.
the industry definitely affects
Yes.
Gaga.
Yeah.
In this movie, I don't really have a sense of her really struggling at all.
No,
once
she's just like, I'm going
doing
on tour.
well. Right.
Seems
Yeah.
incredibly stable the whole film.
Because
Yes.
you're like, you're Barbra Streisand, which
You
is
got
the
this
problem
figured
with
out.
this movie. You're
Yeah.
like, you've been doing this for 20 years,
Yeah.
girl. You're great. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Barbra Streisand.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I had the same thought I had when we were doing our cabaret episode, where I was like, Liza Minnelli would never be trapped in this nightclub.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is obviously
She would-
the right.
It was just the
problem
point. But I think that was like something I wrote down as a note. I was like, none of these women in every version of A Star is Born would ever be waiting for some dude
No.
to come discover them. And this is exactly what Barbra Streisand did
and
with her life.
But
Yes.
here's the thing, like, as much as this is the movie that makes her realize I should be directing my own films,
Right.
right? Which is a net positive takeaway from this experience. I do think this is the movie where you're like, it could have benefited from her having a really good director who could have pushed her to break her habits as an actress a little bit.
Mhm.
Because what would have been really shocking is to see a certain vulnerability that she had never put on screen before. For how much Streisand would be sort of like low status, I'm the ugly duckling thing we're talking about.
Mhm.
There's the sort of like raw, uncomfortable vulnerability of Liza in Cabaret that's
Yeah.
so striking, where you're like, there's
She's so
something a little
sweet.
desperate here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The longing, the sort of like, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It would have been astounding to see Streisand let a little bit of that out in
I
this.
know. The
And I
only
think she's
time-
too poised to do it.
And the only time you ever really see beyond that curtain is like in every version of the movie, the conversation with the manager
yes.
being like, but I still love him and he's my problem and I love him.
Yeah.
Got that one line reading that I think is the most affecting part of the entire film,
Mm-hmm.
where she goes like, when he's sleeping, he's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just all the hurt and pain's like gone from his face.
Oof.
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's the best single line, I think, across these 4 versions of this story at conveying why she's still with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good call, because the other ones, it's more, well, the Mason Garland romance is maybe the weirdest of the, like, they are the most ill-matched. Although Mason's really good. Gaga and Cooper, you're just like, yeah, they have like some kind of natural sexual
Yeah.
chemistry. That's
They
like,
sell the
you know,
magnetism more.
Yeah.
I do think Christopherson and Streisand sell being deeply in love.
Yeah.
because they're both crazy.
Yes.
God bless them. They're
Yeah.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Streisand is just so interesting, so like exciting to see in a movie.
Yeah.
Basically always.
Yeah.
That even though I feel like she's kind of lost in most of this movie, I do think she's kind of lost in this movie.
I agree.
Like I don't really like if she's on screen, so maybe lost is the wrong word, because I'm still like noticing her. I'm still like so invested in what she's doing.
Through it's an awkward transitional stage for her, because there's even like the early courtship stuff. It feels like she's playing it very like Fanny Bryce.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you come up to mom, make me breakfast? Like
Yeah,
everything's
yeah,
a little
yeah.
like sticky
Yeah.
with her in
Yeah.
a way that's fascinating. That's like out of tone with the movie, out of tone with Christopherson.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I felt the entire film is just stakes out the window. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. And it
I
is a
don't
lot of
care.
hanging out.
Yeah.
Like a lot of hanging out.
Yeah.
In just vibes.
2:30.
Yeah. It's a long film.
Did you folks watch the special edition or the regular edition?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I just watched whatever. I watched whatever they gave me.
So I bought
Yeah.
this on iTunes, and I saw there was a special edition listed.
Yep.
And I went like, what the fuck is this?
What's so special about
And then
it?
I dug into it. In 2019, before...
After.
Yes. You know what?
Tied to the
I
release
think it was
of the new
2018.
one.
It wasn't even... That was semi-coincidental. She did a new special for Netflix.
Mm.
And as part of that, she sold like 6 of her things to Netflix. Netflix had a whole Barbra section that now is gone.
Of course.
Only the one special she made for Netflix is up there. I forget which one that is. But like all of her old TV specials were up there, a couple of her concert specials, and she sold them Star is Born, but she recut it just for Netflix.
Okay.
And was like, there are a couple of decisions I made that have been bugging me for the last 40 years. And I just went back in and I fixed them.
Okay.
And I think it's really only 2 major changes. But both of them are, I would argue, really positive.
Okay.
One of them is they include a scene earlier where she plays Evergreen for him on the piano.
That makes sense to get that song in earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he's like, do you play? And she's like, yeah. And she starts playing it. And he goes like, what's that? And she's like, it's like a symphony I'm working on, but I've never had words to it.
It's the parking lot.
It is.
shallow
It's
scene.
it's fascinating because it is that exact scene.
Yeah.
Which is like a crucial scene.
She's playing it, but she doesn't have any lyrics. And she's just sort of like humming along and playing on the piano.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I can come up with something. And he starts improvising Evergreen.
I think I did see that scene, so I must have watched this version.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
maybe
does
I watched
ring a bell.
it too. It does seem
Yeah.
It's a good scene, and it sells like their artistic collaboration, which I think is big for later her wanting so badly him to be on tour and all of that.
right.
And then the other difference is the final number, as theatrically released, was 1 7-minute unbroken close-up shot for the whole thing.
Right.
And what's the final song she does?
Watch closely now.
Mhm.
Right. She did, I think, a more plaintive ballad type version of that.
Yeah, more of a Barbra version.
Right. And in the special edition, it cuts out to a wider shot and she does more of a rock and roll performance of it that I think is the only point in the movie in which she sells being a rock star, quote unquote.
Right.
But she said she cut the Evergreen piano scene because she was only worried about pacing at the time.
Okay.
The movie had to be shorter. And she said that was like a forest through the trees. It really helped the movie later on if you kept that in. That was a mistake. And she wanted the rock performance of Watch Closely Now, Look Closely Now. But people were impressed by the skill of the 7-minute unbroken take. And she lost that argument of just everyone saying, like, just keep it that way.
Which is sort of a fair call in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Chris Christopherson got drunk to play all the drunk scenes, got high to play all the high scenes.
Mhm.
He says the film was the worst thing he'd been through since Ranger School.
Mm.
Oh.
At one point, Jon Peters said Christopherson told Streisand to fuck off because she was telling him what to do. And Peters said, "You owe my old lady an apology." And Christopherson said, "If I want some shit out of you, I'll squeeze your head,"
Funny.
which is fun.
gosh.
Looking back, he says that has to be one of the all-time great lines. So he's praising himself.
When this movie was coming out, Peters kept on saying, like, yeah, the guy's kind of based on me. I based this character on me. He's
Oh.
really,
Yeah.
Christopherson's playing me. And then there was some interview with Christopherson. They said, is it true you're playing Jon Peters? And he went, no, I'm playing me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. He then watches the movie and is like, I need to get sober.
Yeah.
He's
Wow.
like, I'm seeing myself. Like I'm watching the Twilight Zone, and it's like, I'm watching my own like death approach if I keep behaving this way.
Wow.
Yes. Pearson does make an initial cut. His ass gets kicked into a swimming pool and they take over. And then they, as you said, basically, did the rest themselves. And they had notes for the projectionists when they presented the reels to them.
Okay.
Make sure that reels 1 and 2 are as loud as possible. Love that.
It's a loud movie.
It is a loud movie.
It is a loud movie. I mean, it's the same with the Cooper movie, which is when we saw it at TIFF, we had to see it at the Lightbox because that had Dolby,
Sure.
and they fucking blasted at us.
Yeah.
And it was part, and it was kind of one of these things where we'd seen the trailer at this point, like we knew,
Yeah.
but still where you were like, damn, this movie's like going it hard.
Yeah.
Like, this like Lady Gaga Star is Born movie is like, you
like,
know?
So
And this movie too, it's like,
Bradley Cooper Jackson Maine has that sort of like broken poet thing, right? Of like,
Yeah.
there's this guy can't get out from under his own demons, but there's genius there, there's feeling there, there's all of this. It is fascinating. Remind me what Christopherson's character's name is in this. She says it 8 million times.
he is, of course, John Norman Howard.
John Norman Howard.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He's not a main.
I find it fascinating in a not a successful way, but it is interesting that he's basically like an idiot savant in this movie,
Yes.
right?
A little bit, yeah.
Like everyone treats it like they're just like, well, this guy's a moron.
Yeah.
He is undeniably compelling on stage. He's probably going to kill himself at some point.
Yeah.
Just keep loading him full of drugs to get him to
And he'll be
finish
fine.
the concert.
Yeah. So weird.
And he keeps on saying like, I'm working on new stuff. It's good. It's better. But you like never hear his new songs really, right?
No.
No.
No. And then like
There's this
we
attitude.
forget he ever had a career to start with.
Right. And there's this
Yeah.
attitude from everyone when he's like, I'm going back to basics. I'm writing new songs. They're like, maybe accept your career's over. Like they don't even want to hear
Yeah,
his
no,
shit.
nothing.
They're like, your moment's passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some other things we can talk about from this movie? I'm trying to think.
Why
like,
is she not more enraged by him quite literally cheating on her?
cheating on her? That scene is kind of
In
amazing.
Yes.
Bed.
In their bed, you've got what's her name? Quentin.
Yes.
Yeah, Quentin, who's a naked woman in his pool, and he
she-
didn't call the cops. This is the 70s.
This is it feels so 70s though. It's like, oh, some naked hit me on the pool. All right, I guess, should we have sex? And she's like, can I interview Esther? And he's
Can
like,
I interview your wife?
yeah, baby, I can make that happen for you. And
Right.
then when she shows
She
up.
has keys to his place because she used to fuck the pool guy years ago.
Right, sure.
Baller.
Right.
Either that or she just vaulted a fence. I mean, who knows?
Right.
She's a
We never
journalist.
see the keys.
Right.
Yeah, right. We don't see her come in.
Right. And this is coming right off of, is it after the Grammy win? It's off of a low
Yeah,
moment.
it's post the Grammy win.
Yeah, it's
right.
post-
Like
Grammy.
he's already kind of in the doghouse.
He's completely fucked.
And he's like, let me fuck the interviewer.
Yeah.
And then when she walks in on them, he's like,
Oh, she's got some questions for you.
Yeah. She wants
That's
an interview. Can
My
you?
favorite
Yeah.
part is that, right, he's like, she want, and she's like, oh, yeah. Like, tits out, just like, I'll just go get my
Yeah.
tape recorder or something. And Barbara is
First
like,
question, do you know your husband can't get it up?
Yeah.
Is basically what she said.
And then I feel like Christopherson actually gives her shit for, come on, my friend needs an interview. Like, doesn't he kind of?
Yeah, he does. He's like pissed at her for not wanting to talk to the other woman. The audacity of man.
There's the thing
God bless.
where he's trying to kiss and make up, and Streisand starts biting his lip that is genuinely very hot. And then they start having like angry makeup sex
Yes.
while it feels like the reporter is just slowly being like, "Where the exit's
I'm gonna
this way."
go.
I'll be
Where's
in the
my?
pool.
Yeah, I gotta be in the
Where's
pool
my
house. I
top?
guess.
Yeah, who knows? It's okay. Yes.
The scene directed to the room, but I feel like Ben most of all, where he discovers Streisand at the club performing, and he gets into the fight with the guy who wants to see him performing
Mm-hmm.
and wants his autograph, wants him on stage. Did any of you recognize who that actor was?
I don't think so.
Did you not recognize who it was, David?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? The goofy guy
Yeah, of
who's just
course.
like, hey, we pay your bills. You better get up on there
Yeah,
perform.
yeah.
It is Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself.
You're
Whoa.
kidding.
An early performance from Freddy Krueger.
Interesting.
That's
No, I didn't clock that at
incredible.
all.
Who mostly played like goofy hicks and stuff in movies.
Yeah, because he's got the big kind of forehead and like, yeah.
He played a lot of
That's
like sleazy
awesome.
G-Shucks guys until once they put the hat on him, everything changed.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
I was happy to see him. That's the thing. Like, it's like very interesting to see Gary Busey. I think that first
Yeah.
sequence is really compelling in that
One of the best
way.
part of the movie.
Yeah, well, these
It
stories
is.
you hear about like people where it's like, how the fuck did that guy make it through a concert? You know? And it's like the audience is cheering. Everyone backstage is like, he's fucking doing it again.
Yeah,
He shows up, he's incoherent.
Yeah.
Gary Busey shoves 4 things up his nose. He gets on stage wearing like a Halloween mask and just growls. And you're like, it is compelling. I
Yeah.
would pay to watch this.
Well, shit. Yeah, no, it really is that moment.
The music industry and like just like concerts and just it was very different.
Yeah,
It's like what was acceptable,
It is-
behavioral wise.
100%.
There was less to do back then. You know, you go to a show and Christopherson comes out in a Halloween mask. You're like, well, what else was I going to do
Yeah.
today? I'll watch
Exactly.
this.
Right. I don't have a phone. My phone's at home.
Well, that's the thing. Now I feel like there's just like this.
What I gotta do? Sit at home, look at the rotary
I
dial?
can't play Pac-Man on it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's just that nowadays there's this idea of eras and a persona and all of these things. I mean, you can even use Lady Gaga as an example of like the way she burst onto the scene was, she would get on stage and do something weird. Like nobody thought that about Christopherson's character because they didn't fucking know who he was.
It's unbridled id.
Yeah.
It's this guy might puke on me tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, the scene.
But that was the whole early Lady Gaga thing. It was like, you won't believe what this woman does sitting at a piano. Like that was like that early vibe.
Yeah.
But she always talked about that much in this kind of way of like, I knew the kind of music I wanted to do. That music didn't sell. I need to play the game of the industry and slowly start working in, stripping it down, getting it back to basics.
I love the way she talks about it now and where she's just kind of like, I was doing my thing, you know? It was, and that's exactly what got her.
Sometimes all it takes is one person in a room.
I was there.
So one.
Look, the Critics Circle gave her Best Actress for House of Gooch. Yeah. And I was there for what was essentially her Oscar speech that she didn't get to deliver anywhere else. And it was a tour de force. It was 20 minutes. It was amazing.
I know she won the song Oscar.
Yeah, she did.
But it's like, more than anything, I want to see her win Best Actress eventually so she can get that speech. She might. Yeah. The speech will be better than whatever performance she gives. Not to diminish her. I think she's a really good actress and movie star. She's so strong. Yeah.
And I really do think she'll get her chance to accept that Best Actress Oscar one day.
And I think she's building her career in a very interesting way in terms of what she's taking on.
She takes on good projects.
And it's so funny because she's somebody who you can tell she cares so much, but she's also just genuinely having such a good time while doing it that it's really admirable.
She's like a real star. Like
she doesn't need us. That's the thing.
She doesn't need us.
She doesn't need us. She doesn't need the stupid industry.
She needs one person.
She needs just one person in
She just needs one person in that room.
I love her so much. She's my mom.
A thing I think this movie, because there are moments where you're like, this movie is like hitting something good.
Yeah.
Right? The Gary Busey character, I like that he is not nefarious, right?
Yeah. He's not trying to get anything out of anybody.
No.
He's just genuinely the working man trying to make a living.
He's
and
genuinely kind of his best friend.
Yeah.
Yes. But the thing it speaks to really well is like a guy like this who's trapped in an absolute cycle of like self-destruction, right? There's that line Streisand has when she goes to his house for the first time and she goes, so what were you really rich or really poor?
Yeah.
Where she can't figure out like, what was your central trauma?
Yeah.
What broke you when you were growing up?
Yeah. And what got you here?
Right. And they never answer it. I actually really like the lack of backstory.
Yeah.
Of just like, this guy's undeniably got something, but like, why can't he get out of his own way?
Why can't he figure it out?
Right.
Yeah.
My brother's character actor, Sam Elliott.
Right. And it just feels like Gary Busey is like genuinely kind of trying his best.
Yeah.
And it's just like, here you go. Here are the 4 things I know you need to make it through the next 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then every time he, does a motorcycle wheelie off the stage or like pukes on people or pisses himself or any of these fucking things, he's just sort of
trashes his own house, spray paints the walls.
Who do I need to call now? Like everyone's stuck in the routine of the thing.
Yeah.
In this way that like when you are an industry, when you're making money for people and you've built like an organization around yourself, right? And a staff and whatever. Even when people can see like writings on the wall, this isn't going to end good. They're just sort of like, we need to just do whatever we can do to keep the machines running.
Like if you shoot a helicopter, someone will just call 911 and be like, there's a sniper afoot.
Yeah. And I like that none of them are like positioned as being like inherently duplicitous, evil, like, because I think the agent character in the Cooper movie is the biggest mistake of that film where he is like
it's oddly
too mustache twirly.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. It's very nefarious.
And this is like all these people, the scene with Mazursky where he's like, I'll listen to the tapes. I really will. Is kind of touching where he's just like, there's no future for you, but I'm really listening to what you're saying and I feel bad for you.
And they have that moment in the Garland one with, the head of the studio comes to visit her on set and he says, would it help if we put him in something?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, would you do that? And really thinks that that's going to turn it all around.
Yes.
And the dramatic irony of it is that we know that it's not. It's this story that's been told a million times, but those moments matter. In movies like this.
Esther wanting him to be on the tour is like 50% I want the accountability of, I need him in my sight, right? And I need to be the one providing him structure and whatever. But I think she also thinks like, it's why putting the evergreen scene in is really valuable for the movie is like,
Mhm.
if we could recapture that on stage every night,
Yeah.
that's the version of him that I love. And if I could show that to some people, he has a future.
And I wonder if Cooper was tipped off about that or something,
Feels
because that she's singing Shallow at her fucking chrome piano that she brought on the Joanne tour. I know I was there. And she's singing it, and she wanted to sing it with him, and that's why she wanted to bring him on tours, to capture the magic of why they fell in love and why she became a star and why he's the reason.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if he knew that evergreen scene had been cut. Why?
I just think,
I imagine he knew in some capacity. I don't know.
This movie is quietly smart about how complicit everyone is in his self-destruction without being sinister. You know? And they're all in this position where they're like, this guy makes my life so fucking difficult.
Right.
The way Mazursky's like, I gotta fucking call the cops and pretend, or Busey's the one who pretends it was a sniper when he was the one shooting a pistol at the helicopter. He's like, I gotta do this fucking again.
Yeah.
Like, why does this guy make my life a living hell? But they're also all only doing what he needs to keep making money rather than really trying to help him at any moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I like the agent character in the Cooper one. I think the industry's like that now. They're like, this guy's got to go.
The
Yeah.
industry's bad, but
Yeah.
Mazursky's a match.
Well, Mazursky's all right in this one, but this one feels more 70s, right? Where it's like, yeah, I guess all just die in this castle of ours, I guess, right? We'll just keep doing drugs, and like in my head, it's like if you're a rock star like that, you live in a house, and then they just keep adding layers to your house until you can't even leave. You don't even know where the exit is. You know,
that house though is
I
incredible.
know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Like how would you describe the design? Like what era is that? Like
like Wayne Manor?
No, like is it like it's not? I can't think of the name. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
I like the pagoda too. The pagoda ranch.
The one they build? Yeah. That one's cool too.
That place looks relaxing.
Yeah,
like
the
I like their
loft
little
bed that
lost
they have.
weekend.
Yeah. It's nice.
And he just kind of builds that in like I don't know, like a day.
Yeah.
Is that like what we're?
That's how it's
hands.
depicted. Yeah.
Do you mean the ranch house where they have the honeymoon? Like which
No,
house? His big mansion.
It's like L.A. mansion.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
don't know
think.
what
Like,
I can't think of. There's like a very particular name for it. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I want to see it because most of the stuff is about their honeymoon house, which is
it's
cool.
Like total maximalist design in it, which is like the decoration there's so many mirrors, so much curtain.
You're
work.
a big star, so like every wall in your house is a mirror, right?
I actually don't think I own a single mirror that isn't in a bathroom.
You live in a sphere.
No, you need to wear a suit of armor that's made of mirrors at all times.
So everybody can look at themselves when they're looking at me.
Exactly.
It's a commentary.
Yeah. Because actors are just reflections of other people.
Exactly, Rachel. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you
get
should take
it.
pictures of the paparazzi.
Yeah. And I do.
Yeah. Well, what was the thing I was going to
Stars Born.
say?
Chris Christopherson's
Stars
in the film
Born.
with Barbra
Chris
Streisand.
Christopherson is in the movie with Barbra Streisand. Oh, it's one of the things that's just very. It did help me.
That worked.
It's one of the things that makes this story so sticky, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that you like enter in mostly through the eyes of the young woman who's just like, I cannot imagine this world you live in. Look at these people around you, this house that seems to go on forever. You just get to walk on stage and people love you. Even when you're fucking up,
Yeah.
everything is like supported for you. And then the moment she hits, the energy changes so much where your perspective, you go like, oh, this guy is slipping.
Yeah.
I've known the guy was slipping psychologically, but like almost immediately her star is so much bigger than we've ever seen him be.
Yeah.
And you can fill in the blanks and go, maybe he was there at some point, or maybe she's already eclipsed the height of where he was. But it's like the scene where Mazursky is just kind of like, he's already done.
Yeah.
We've known he's been done for a year. We've been riding out on the fumes.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing left there.
Yeah.
There's not
It's like that scene where he goes to visit the studio and Busey's there and they're just recording with other people, new music. And he's like, yeah, we like this sound. It's really nice. It's a good sound that they've got going. Like he never even existed.
Yeah.
But
he
the
was
thing
missing
is,
for like 6 weeks and they were like, well, this is actually
I
kind of
guess we
healthier.
Just move
now.
on. Yeah. And we don't really see, though, the effect that genuinely has on him because we don't see him ever on the up and up.
And Busey, when he's giving him the bad news in that scene, is also still giving him bumps off the little spoon.
Yes.
Well, you got to keep him, stable.
Yeah.
You know,
He said, hey, remember this?
Keep this guy level. Yeah, right. There's the Grammys scene, obviously, which is crucial to any Star is Born movie. Is man makes a scene at award ceremony,
Yeah. Embarrass his
which is
wife.
good and embarrassing. The Cooper one is so brutal that it's almost hard to watch.
It's
Whereas this
hard
one
to
is more
watch.
classic, just like like
The Grammys when he pisses himself.
yes,
Yeah.
It's a little much.
I'll say the Garland one's kind of hard to watch too.
the Garland one's really brutal.
Yeah.
James Mason.
Because doesn't he like accidentally hit her in the face
Yes.
in that one
Yeah.
too? Yeah. That's tough.
But it's what works about how do I put this?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm watching this movie through the prism of getting ready to talk about Babs for a bit of
Right.
Babs we have.
A bit of Babs. A babble about
Sprinkling
Babs.
of Babs. Yeah,
Doing some Babs
babble.
babbling.
Babs
Mhm.
babbling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That thing I was saying earlier of her being one of those people where you're just like inevitable, undeniable.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like sheer force of will and talent. She was going to be Barbra Streisand no matter
100%.
what.
Yeah.
And I feel like all these Stars Born movies have that element of like the woman at the center at the beginning is sort of like, who, me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Everyone's told me I'll never make it. I like doing this.
Yeah.
I've accepted my position in all of this.
Yeah.
Right? I don't really want all of this necessarily. I'm kind of fine with where I am. And then someone pushes them onto the bigger stage and they just not only immediately explode, but kind of take to it immediately.
Yeah.
Where much in the same way where when she hits, you realize how much bigger she immediately is than he ever was. That she is so much better adjusted than he is.
That's the thing.
That like it's another thing I think this movie gets right is after that first concert where he forces her to perform, she's so nervous, it feels like she's gonna bomb. And then over the course of 3 songs, she just destroys. And then when everyone's hoarding her outside, mobbing her, and all the press are putting the microphones in her face, she has like funny quips for every question. And you're like,
She's Barbara.
right, her whole life has been ready for this moment.
Right. But I mean, this is sort of my problem with movies. I'm like, she's too famous.
There's no struggle.
Right. Because she's Barbra Streisand. Whereas, like, again, the Cooper one somehow gets away with it. Like, I buy Lady Gaga as, a nobody in that movie, which is surprising.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think it worked because you'd never seen her stripped down before.
I get, and you'd never really seen her act.
You
and,
had to be you had to be like a diehard fan to know, like, when she came out with the album Joanne, she really stripped herself down
Good
vocally, and great album. And as somebody who was there for all of that,
Sure.
I was not shocked to see her be so real and grounded and look like a person.
Most people are like, oh, it's poker face, paparazzi.
Exactly.
Lady Gaga.
And they have no idea. But
Like-
that's what's amazing about these movies, though, is that it stripped back the for lack of a better term, the glitter of the women who were at the forefront of these films and stripped them down to a way that nobody had ever seen them before.
It's really nice that the movie's called Glitter. Like, why had no one ever called a movie Glitter before?
Period.
Yeah. It's a good title.
Terrence
So
Howard's
true.
in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Who's he
So is
playing?
Padma Lakshmi, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Apparently, she plays a character called Silk,
Yeah, she's
a famous singer.
she's in it. Like, I think Mariah Carey does background vocals for her in the
Right.
opening, and she's apparently like a hack. She's lip syncing, and Mariah's like, I can do that.
Oh, she can right. You don't
She's
need
like, I
you don't
can
need this
actually
lip sync.
sing. Yeah.
Debrat is in it. One of the great hip hop artists of the
Why
90s.
not?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, I had it saved before, but the Frank Pearson article, so I can read, there's like a particularly damning quote.
I mean, go
Did
ahead.
JJ pull some stuff
I mean,
in the
certainly
dossier?
I have some quotes, which
Yeah.
was he was very mean.
Really, and like this is a
and
month
I
before
buy
the
that he
movie
had a bad
comes
time.
out.
Like
That's the thing.
That's what's wild.
it's sort of impressive where he's like, I'm kneecapping you.
That's the thing. It's one of those like Josh Trank levels of self-sabotage where you're just like, wait until the movies come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And if it's something to be celebrated, don't you want to be celebrated?
Totally. If it bombs, then you can sort of like vindicate yourself after
I wonder
the fact.
if he was kind of like prepping himself for a possible backlash that would come if it were really successful and everybody was giving him credit, and Babs was going to get up there and be like, actually,
Right,
it was
I
all
took
me.
this movie over. Right.
And then he wanted
Right.
to kind of like,
Possibly.
I think it was a mistake though, because I feel like that just
yeah.
kills your career.
Totally.
Like he's never a major director
No.
because of this movie.
No, but I think his
even though
attitude,
this was a hit.
I think you're right, Rachel, that strategically his attitude was, if I position myself as, or if I give everyone the story of my struggle to get my voice through in this movie, then anything they do like in the movie, they'll credit to me, and anything they don't like, they'll say, well, it was out of his control.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I think. It was some kind of strategy to just safeguard himself, not knowing what the response was going to be.
Write like an 8-page article for New York Magazine, like a big outlet. It's not like a string of tweets in the modern era.
And if he had just stayed quiet, the movie comes out, it's a big hit that gets kind of middling reviews, a few Oscar noms, nothing major. And he had just been like, yeah, so I was the director of that. Everyone probably would have been chill about it.
Yeah.
You know, he would have been like, yeah, you know, Barbra, obviously strong force of personality, blah, blah, but, you know, yeah. And then he gets to make some other movie. You made a big hit, buddy.
But she basically just now, like, it has taken the I don't even think about you route, where for the last 40 years, she just talks about the movie
as if it's,
without mentioning him by name.
Doesn't mention him.
She does the director's commentary. She does the like retrospective press.
Wow.
And she just says, like, when John and I were making Star is Born.
Wow.
She can knock directors and actors clear out of the practice of their profession with 10% of her energy, says Frank Pearson of Barbra Streisand.
Wow.
You know, apparently they fought the whole time. She said, I don't feel you really want to love me. All my directors have wanted to make me beautiful. I feel like you're holding something back. There's something you don't tell me. You never talk to me. Now, this is Frank quoting Barbra.
Sure.
So I don't know. And Frank says, I love you, but I'm not the demonstrative type. Okay. I don't know.
That's a sentence.
Every rehearsal, Barbra can never settle on a final reading. Nothing ever gets done. This is, again, his telling of things. You know, the dailies are good, but they're not good enough. Barbra and Jon can't see how they go together. They convince the movie's a disaster. They yell that he's ruined it. I've never been so tired, not since World War II. Both he and Chris Christopherson comparing this movie to serving in the military.
Yeah, that is a yikes.
You know, back in the day, fucking 70s directors could be like, look, man, I was in Germany.
Yeah. And I preferred that.
Yeah. And I'd go back.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess, like, it does kind of seem like that classic, like, Barbra and Jon have the idea of the movie and they're watching dailies and being like, you're fucking up whatever our idea of this movie is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, and he's probably not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that he was really to blame for anything, but, you know, there's no sense of collaboration. They see him as a roadblock.
I don't know if it's just that the bones of Star is Born hit on something so primal and fascinating where, like, yeah, every 20 years we want the fame machine to, like, look inwards. Right. And tell this tragedy about like how we dispose of people and also how we like dehumanize people in the process of, I mean, that's what's so poignant about it is the sort of like one person on the way out, one person walking in kind of thing, where this movie always leaves you with this note of like, how's she going to look in 30 years?
Exactly.
She seems to have a better head on her shoulders,
right.
But like, who knows? What price Hollywood, you could say.
Exactly.
But I had always been led to believe, like, well, they made 3 great Stars Borns, and obviously there's the turd from the 70s that we all went to see.
Right.
And I think it's like there's enough here. It's a sloppy ass movie.
Yeah.
But I think it does have some juice to it.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a reason people still watch it, you know?
Yeah.
She's in it.
It's because she's in it. It's because he's in it. And it's because everybody knows the song Evergreen.
Good song.
You know, it's a really upsetting scene, although it almost feels like a Family Guy gag or something. When I mean, he does, I like that his suicide is him just racing the car in this.
Yeah.
You know,
that drives like the wind and then you never see him
there's something almost spiritual about it versus
scene,
like
it's almost
with her and his corpse
could be
right.
It is
that
it almost could be unintentional.
Yes. Right.
It's
ambiguous.
what I like about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right, because you have the same moment that you have of like you're dragging her down, man.
Yeah.
Her career is hamstrung by you.
Yeah.
And when it becomes like a deliberate suicide by your own hand, then it sort of feels like this thing of like martyrdom. He's sacrificing himself versus this where it's like, it's just a whole ball of emotions.
Yeah.
And it's kind of mythical. He drives off and then the next thing you
70s,
see.
him and his motorcycle.
Right, the crane raising, lowering down from the sky and her there talking to his dead body and begging for blankets and whatever, which is the one scene where I think she kind of has that vulnerability I wanted
She's
to
really good in that scene.
see in some other places in the movie. And then you have the scene where she's like tossing and turning in the bed in their mansion, hears his voice, starts running down the stairs. You think she's hallucinating. You see that they're already moving shit out of the house. Like she doesn't even have time to grieve before they're dismantling her home.
Moving her, yeah.
Right. And then the guy walks in and goes like, hey, I can't figure out how to turn this tape recorder off.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
Like,
you're right. It does read. It reads as a gag a little bit.
I think it's a nice idea for a scene. And if that scene is she walks in and a giant reel-to-reel recorder is playing and some guy's like, yeah, sorry, I turned that on by accident.
Right, but you think the guy is too hammy. Yeah,
the guy walks in holding a boombox and it's like, how do you turn off this godforsaken?
What is this? This button says stop?
Yeah.
You think I should try it?
Oh my God.
But I like the idea that she like thinks she's hearing him. She's not imagining it. And it is the tapes of him, including him answering the phone when he's trying to record his demos.
Hey everybody, Stephen Colbert here. I have my own. The show has a podcast, the Late Show Pod Show, and I'm here with the producer Becca. Becca, what are we doing? What is this?
So the Late Show Pod Show, it's everything you love about the Late Show: the monologue, the lead guest.
And am I correct about this? That you actually get things in the podcast often that aren't on the show because we had to cut things for time. And so you'll get more guests, or you might even get some jokes or some more meanwhiles or something like that. We didn't get a chance, or certainly conversations with Lewis and the band that you don't get. So you get more stuff. So if you don't listen to the podcast, you're losing money.
It's true. It's true. TV, you can only put so much. You got to get those commercial breaks in, but the podcast, we can keep going.
That's the great things about podcast is that the real estate is enormously cheap.
Yeah.
And so you can just shovel anything in there and people go, thank you. Listen to the Late Show Pod Show with Stephen Colbert wherever you get your podcasts. I use the internet.
Do you want to pull up Box Office Game?
I got it ready, baby.
Okay.
This movie came out Christmas time in 1976. The number one movie of 1976, of course.
We recorded, the other thing we recorded today, Rachel, was a Patreon episode on Alien versus Predator.
Oh.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect doubleheader. But the second Alien versus Predator movie also came out on Christmas Day.
It sure did.
Did it?
Not in the same year.
Not in the same year, no. This film lost... the big movie of 1976 is Rocky. That is the big... This is the second biggest movie
set up
of the year.
for failure.
This is the Rocky Network...
All the President's Men.
Bound for Glory.
Taxi Driver is the 5 nominees for Best
wow.
Picture. Yeah.
And you look at some of the stuff that doesn't even make... I mean, Scorsese gets bumped out of Best Director.
He sure does.
This is one of the best Oscar fields ever.
Scorsese gets bumped out. Scorsese and Bound for fucking
Hal Ashby.
Hal Ashby get knocked out.
Is this Fellini Satyricon?
No, for Lena Wertmuller for Seven Beauties and Ingmar Bergman for Face to Face.
Wow.
All kinds of cool people are nominated this year. Obviously, Network kind of sweeps the acting awards.
This movie, unsurprisingly, wins 5 Golden Globes.
You're right.
Heyo.
The most expected thing ever.
It wins a
Hell
song.
yeah.
It wins a song. Absolutely. Take pride. It wins a song.
Trophy's a trophy.
Oscar. That's its only Oscar.
Yes.
But it was nominated for cinematography as well.
I will say
and
some of the
sound.
shots in this movie had me saying
Robert
out
Surtees.
loud, what a great shot.
It's Roger Surtees, who's like an old Hollywood guy. And this is a movie that uses shadows very well, as opposed to Alien versus Predator Requiem. The darkest movie ever made, Rachel. You would not believe.
Hate when that happens.
How bad this
when
thing
you have
looks.
to like squint and be like,
this movie truly looks like the brightness is down on your phone.
Oh no!
But yes,
which is as it was meant to be viewed, right, on your phone.
Yes, watching these 2 movies within a couple of days of each other, you're just like, right, this is like what an expert cinematographer knows how to do.
Right.
So this film's coming out Christmas time, and number 1, it's going to opening at number 5. Number 1, it's back in the day.
Yeah, but it ends up making 80 something.
Second biggest hit of the year, makes $80 million.
What was the budget?
The budget was only $6 million. So it's a huge hit.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and the song builds several houses.
Really good.
Yeah, for
Alone
many different people.
And this is kind of the beginning of Barbra really just not making a lot more movies. Like now it's like when she makes a movie,
control,
it's like a rare thing.
This is her Warren Beatty transition where she's like, I'm getting super selective. I'm in the business
where
of being
beginning
famous.
with her. Like we're beginning with that. Number 1 of the box office is another sort of famous, overpriced remake of 1976. That does like well, but probably could have done better.
Does well, but probably could have done better. Seems a little bit of a boondoggle.
Yeah, but it's another movie that people keep remaking.
It's another movie that people keep remaking. In what genre?
Action,
Oh.
adventure.
In 76.
Yeah.
76, and it's a remake of something earlier, and they do it again.
They keep doing it.
When was the original?
1933.
It's a 1933
Yep.
movie.
Kind of a famous movie.
It's this one or the 33 one?
The 33 one.
Right.
But they're all pretty famous. But this 33 one's real famous.
It's real famous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
you've
one
seen
Wow.
it.
the more famous movies.
Yeah.
And I probably
Action
seen
adventure
it.
film.
It's an act. Why the fuck? This is like going to be glaringly obvious, right?
Yeah. They remade it again in 2005. And then they remade it again in 2017 as part of a cinematic universe.
Planet of the Apes.
Very close.
I'm gonna take that.
It's King Kong.
King Kong.
Ah,
It's the Jessica
shit.
Lange, Dino De Laurentiis King
Queen.
Kong. Of
Jessica
course.
Lange and Jeff Bridges in King
Yeah.
Kong.
And Charles Grodin
And Charles Grodin.
was a huge hit at the time.
Big hit, but
Love.
still an underwhelming based on.
I feel like
rep.
it has like the exact same reputation as this movie, which is everyone in the world went to see it.
Right.
Everyone agreed it was kind of shitty.
Right.
And the versions before and after all have better reputations.
Yes.
Yes.
But we will still watch it.
Yeah.
We'll still watch this
It's
version.
still in the world.
Yeah.
It's still in the air. Number 2 at the box
Mm.
office is the third in a series
Okay.
of films.
Okay. In 1976.
Crime
starting up to 3.
films.
Is it a Dirty Harry?
It's a Dirty Harry film.
Oh.
But which one?
Third one is called, I always get
Tell
these
you Tyne
wrong.
Daly's in this one.
Magnum Force?
Nope.
Or
That's 2.
fuck. It's not The Enforcer,
The
right?
Enforcer.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
His third film, James Fargo's The Enforcer.
And then it's the Deadpool.
That's the last one.
What's the other one I'm forgetting?
Sudden Impact, which is
Thank
the
you.
one Clint Eastwood directed, which is bananas.
Yeah.
If
No,
you ever
any
check
which
it
way
out.
to lose is bananas.
Well, that's true. Number 3 at the box office, another sequel. People say sequels have taken over. But in 1976, this is famously this is the last film of this series. It's the 5th. It's the last where the lead is still with us.
So this is a Pink Panther? Is it?
Wow.
Yes. See, he's good.
He's very good.
That's
Trail is the one after he died,
That's
right?
the really weird one that's after.
Is this Curse?
Nope. That's that's the one after Trail that he's not even in with David Niven and someone else.
Jesus, it's what a weird franchise that is. It's not Strikes Again or Returns, is it? Is it one?
Strikes
It
Again.
Strikes Again.
The
Okay.
Pink
Strikes
Panther
Again.
Strikes Again, 1976. This is the last Peter Sellers movie, and they use footage from this in Trail of the Pink
Right.
Panther.
Do you know about Trail, Rachel?
I don't.
He died
Okay.
famously.
Sad.
And then they
It
were like,
happens.
we're going to make a movie where we take all the outtakes we have left over. And the movie is new footage of actors being like, has anyone seen Clouseau in a while? Does anyone know where he is? And they're like, I heard he was doing this. And then they cut to some scraps
I kind of love that.
from the previous movie.
I kind of love
And the
that.
whole movie is like, we just can't find Clouseau anywhere.
Where is he?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I
Did it turn out as funny as it's been described?
No, I think
it's widely despised.
people hate it.
Oh, cool.
They essentially released a clip show in theaters.
I love it.
And it wasn't even a best of. It was like reject.
like what we
Yeah,
B-roll.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
B-roll.
Yeah. But everyone's just like, that Clouseau guy.
Yeah. Where
What
is
happened
he?
to him?
Wow.
Number 4 at the box office, a famous documentary. Remember, you may know this, that back in the day, they would just put documentaries in theaters that were just fake,
Yes.
that were
Yeah.
just say made up shit.
Was
and this
it
is one of the
In
most
Search of
famous.
Noah's Ark?
In Search of Noah's Ark.
Do you know about this movie?
I don't.
They bought out crazy television advertisements at a time where people were not, just like full marketing blitz when marketing was more reserved
Right.
and films got word of mouth platform releases. I kicked my head over again. And they just did all these TV ads. They blitzed it. You can watch like old Siskel and Ebert where they complain about this thing incessantly.
Oh my God.
Where they said,
a decade
this
later, they
movie-
still complain about like
this movie, In Search of Noah's Ark, which yes,
Right.
they
They bought
let's-
these TV ads and they were like, we're putting a movie in theaters. We found Noah's Ark. You have to
Says-
go to theaters to find the answer.
They found Noah's Ark
And it was
Right.
bullshit.
in Turkey. Yeah, it's all made up.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
But they were just
It
like,
was the 70s.
scoop
Who's
of a
checking?
century. You got to go to theaters
You'd
to
have
see
to go
it.
to theaters to see
And
where it is.
number 5 is A Star Is Born. You've also got something called The Shaggy DA. Now, is that a Shaggy Dog
yes, that's
sequel?
the sequel. Yes, he goes to court. He's a district attorney.
So Dean
that's the
Jones
remake
and
Lenny's gonna
Suzanne
star in.
Pleshette. Yes. you
Lenny's
should-
got big shaggy
What
dog
if
energy.
that became your star demand where you're like, I demand a vehicle for me and my dog? Like that is what I want.
He's your
I'll be
J.D.
honest,
Smith.
guys. I think I'm gonna get there to
Yeah.
that point where I'm like,
You should
the
do it.
dog goes first.
Right. Dog
You
gets
know?
first billing.
But you're also like, I don't want him in my movies because I don't want him to upstage me. I'm just a package deal. You have to greenlight one of his pictures.
I would rather he upstage me.
That's very. See, this is how I know
That's
you're
Yeah.
good.
No ego.
I
No
just
no
think
ego.
because also like then this might sound shitty parenting of me, but like what's he gonna do with the money? It'll be mine,
That's true.
and I'll
yes.
just use it to get him more things.
No Jackie Coogan law for dogs.
Yeah, no.
right?
Is there a Coogan account for a dog?
I don't think so.
I can't imagine.
Is there a rent and tin law?
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
But it would
no.
be nice if you used all of his money to get him things.
And that's
Yeah.
what I do all the time. I use all my money to get him things.
Yeah, well, he
He's the most
deserves them.
spoiled brat in the world.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
As a new parent, I can
Yeah,
testify
She's
to
2.5
that.
years old, man. And I ain't that new. And I know exactly how old she is.
And now
You
you
just
do.
found out.
Nah, I knew. I always knew. I was
She literally
being really funny
recently
earlier.
she likes to play with the pillows on the sofa,
Uh-huh.
and she just pointed at one and said, "That's Ponyo. That's Sosuke." At
Oh.
the pillows.
Mm.
That's how deep Ponyo is in her brain right
Which
now.
it should. Ponyo's
Yes,
great.
Ponyo's
How many
the best.
times has she watched it now? What do you guess?
40? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like endlessly.
Yeah.
She watches it usually in sort of 3 stages. The second stage is when Ponyo goes to sleep on the couch. That's when we're always like, okay, Ponyo's asleep. Like
Time for a
you're
nap.
going to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Smart.
That's really smart.
Silver Streak is on the top 10.
A
Wilder
weird
Pryor,
bad movie.
kind of a bad
yeah,
movie.
that one I actually have seen.
And it's only got 10 minutes of the two of them.
Yeah, that's the one where they
The
realize
marketing
there should be
is
more.
it's
of
like
them.
Zendaya and Timmy Chalamet
Yes.
and Dune.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's really just
It is so
shitty
funny.
North by Northwest with 10 minutes of those guys riffing off each other.
Yeah.
I love Dune to death. I think it's incredible. But it is funny how that movie ends with her being like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And he's like, "How you
Nice
doing?
to meet
Nice
you."
to meet you."
Yeah, and the whole press tour was them palling around. I was like, they know what they're doing,
yeah.
those marketing teams.
But also the whole movie is him being like, I had a dream that
Thinking about Zendaya, I'm like,
Zendaya's
yeah,
gonna
we're all
have a
thinking
bigger
about
part in the
Zendaya.
second
Hot
one.
stuff.
Yeah.
She's everywhere.
I had a dream Zendaya was in the sand. Yeah.
We
Sure,
only-
she's always in the sand.
Yeah.
we only have her for 5 days on this one, but the next one she'll be a
Every
much
day.
larger role.
Every
Dream of
day.
her multi-tiered contract. Okay. Marathon Man is in the top 10.
Mm.
Network is in the top 10.
Yeah.
And then a film called The Monkey Hustle, a
Ooh.
blaxploitation film with Yaphet Kotto and Rudy Ray Moore,
Okay.
which looks pretty fun,
Yeah.
about Chicago con men.
Oh,
It ain't legal and it sure ain't safe, but it do seem worthwhile. That was the tagline.
that was
tagline.
the tag. I
Very
love
good.
it.
Good tagline for
Uh,
Alien versus Predator as well.
Roger Ebert said
Anyway,
it was a
bits from
good-hearted
5 months
muddle,
ago.
but they must have left half the script back in Hollywood.
Oh, hey.
Uh,
Pow.
but Michael J. White says one of the best movies he's ever seen.
Hey.
Huge influence on Black Dynamite.
Rachel, now that Lenny has been wrangled, I want to reopen the floor for you. If you have any general
Final thoughts.
Oh.
Stars Born, Barbara, etc.
I mean,
thoughts to leave us with for this miniseries.
I oddly like I love her so much. It's my least favorite of Star is Born.
Yeah.
And I hate that because I love her so much. And I
think
love
it's fine.
Christopherson so much. And I love Gary Busey in it. I love the aesthetic of the film is so great. The music is wonderful. But for some reason, it just doesn't have what it needs.
We can acknowledge its influence. And I do think
Absolutely.
it's fair to acknowledge, like, yeah, the Cooper movie's pulling from this in some ways, you know?
Absolutely.
It's in the air.
If the Cooper movie was like all about Broadway, you'd be
Wait
like,
a second, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. but you'd be like, oh, that weird 70s Stars Born that was kind
they
of a
did a rock and roll
misfire.
version.
But
Huh.
that movie feels like him saying, like, I want to take another look at you.
but
And he
yeah.
like cleans it up a little.
He
and
And it
goes,
does.
And it's not just that, it's like, you know, they tried to do it with Beyonce where it's like,
Yes.
it feels like after this movie, it was like, yes, this should be a music thing from now on.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like it did.
Right, there was going to be
refocus
the
it.
Clint Eastwood, DiCaprio, Beyonce one that was more traditionally back to the music industry.
Right.
And Cooper was the one who came in after 10 years of that movie getting redeveloped and said, like, make a drunk country music star.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just made a lot more sense and it expanded upon the things that needed to be expanded upon. I agree with your commentary about the manager character
Mhm.
in that one.
Mhm.
Because he doesn't really exist in the rest of them. And the only reason he really comes in is to be like, you got to stay away from her.
Little nudge.
You got to stay away from her. You got to,
I think shitty guys exist like that in the industry.
They I can tell you right now, they do.
They do.
But it's one of those things that it's, like you said, it's just a bit too, I'm twirling my evil wiry mustache and you need to die.
For a movie where the inner demons are always going to be the greatest conflict.
The biggest evil.
You don't
absolutely. It's man versus himself. It really is. And then I think Cooper brought an authenticity to it. The Sam Elliott character is amazing and an amazing performance from him. And I think people tend to only really remember the one scene when he's pulling out of the driveway.
It's one of the most astonishing things.
It is, but his scene when he, is talking about, I have to fucking clean up your shit, blah, blah, blah. And then the very end when he talks about how she sees the notes on the scale, it's a beautiful character. It's a beautiful performance. And I think that's what this movie was lacking, is that emotional grounding.
I agree.
Of somebody who's loved him in spite of everything before the character, the female character comes in.
It's also smart to add that character in and redistribute some of the Christopherson growl over to that guy and make Cooper a little softer.
Exactly. It just gives the character a humanity because you realize that he's been loved before. Yeah. And he neglected that too.
Yeah. 100%.
And so
that's Cooper, Elliott is an incredible addition. You're right.
Yeah. And I just think that every
in this movie has people that are sort of nice to him, but that does not like.
Yeah. But they're nice to him for their own personal gain. Because like we were talking about, it's like, this is how I make my money. So you need to get your ass on stage. And I'm going to give you the coke to do it.
The universe, they all orbit around or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. Elliott, an incredible example of just award seasons being way too long. Where everyone was like, this guy's going to cruise all the way to a fucking Oscar win. And then by the time the show happened, it was like old news. We all got over this 5 rotations ago.
Who won? I remember looking.
Mahershala wins for Green Book.
What's absurd.
Which is like, it's a lead performance and he just had an Oscar and it's Green Book.
Is that the same year as Richard E. Grant too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you had 2 guys who've been so good and so underappreciated for so long.
Running, great character
giving like
actors.
perfect supporting actor performances.
Yeah.
And then Mahershala, is the lead and he had just won.
Look, it's one of the weirdest Oscars ever.
Green Book was
It was a weird Oscar.
It was the best movie ever made. We can't deny the Green Book was the best film ever made.
Pizza.
Spike Lee is somewhere just cursing.
Not my cup of tea.
He said it's not his
my cup of tea.
It's one of the funniest things.
You British? Are you British?
That's what makes it. It's checking with both of them.
And then him going like,
he does the
like
dance.
literally dances around.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny.
But I like this attitude is like, I'm not bitter. I've done this fucking dance before. I know how they work. I'm not surprised.
I love it. It was my cup of tea.
You British?
Such a weird Oscars.
You British?
I saw Star is Born at TIFF and was like, well, and this is going to be a sensation. And it made $1 zillion. And the Oscars were like, I think it's Green Book versus Roma this year. It's just like, what are you guys doing?
But that's the thing. The director category was stacked, but I do feel like Cooper deserved to be in it.
Yeah, that's not
because you had McKay for Vice, you had Cuarón for Roma, you had oh my god,
Fairley's also not.
He's
nominated.
also snubbed. It's Spike Lee for Black Klansman. Yorgos for The Favorite, which is a fun nom, and Pavel Pawlowski for The Cold War, which is a really nice nom.
Movie I like
it is an amazing
and
movie.
he's one of the hottest people I ever interviewed. I fell in love with him when I interviewed him.
He's
for Ida.
Handsome.
So hot.
I don't think I've ever seen
his
him.
wife is
Rachel.
too beautiful.
I will show you. He's very dashing.
Rachel, they are a couple that makes you angry.
Yeah.
When you look at him and his wife together.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah.
But just a weird year. Anyway, but Barbra didn't win for this, and then we will discuss future Oscar snubs, of course.
Yeah, no, that
in
will
her
be
career.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, he is handsome. Sorry.
Yeah, he's very handsome.
Whoa.
I don't lie. He has a new movie coming, I think.
Does he?
I think he does. Doesn't he have a new movie coming out soonish?
I think so.
Yeah.
Shame to have him
The Island.
right now.
Ooh, Ewan McGregor?
Right,
Joaquin and Rooney are making a movie with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
But is that the one that got shut down?
Yes, but hopefully it can come back.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Did you see that Joaquin finished a movie with Lynn Ramsey? That they quietly just got it done?
More like Joaquin finished.
Well, that's what didn't Emma Stone do one with Yorgos as well?
Yeah.
They did another one or something?
They're obsessed with making movies together.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Lynn Ramsey goes so long not getting movies made.
I know, yeah.
That I was
really
just
good.
so happy where I'm like, we got one.
Yeah.
We
But
got
now,
one in the
but
can.
now it's like, what's gonna happen?
Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm happy something has been
But
committed.
I like this theme of we're just gonna quietly make shit and not tell anybody anything.
So good.
Because the only reason I knew about the one that just debuted was because I know Nadia Stacey, who did the makeup for it, because she does makeup for all of Emily's stuff. And it was, I just loved.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Right. Him and Emma Stone did two movies together.
They just keep.
Yes. There's another one that still won't come out for who knows how long.
Yeah.
Rachel, you have nothing to plug because we're currently on strike. This episode will come out in several months. If the strike is ended by then, I will ask you to send in a voice memo.
Done.
It's 2024 post-strike Rachel Zegler. You can actually get The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes on demand, which is pretty cool. It was the #1 movie in the world for a couple weekends. That was pretty fun. It's really good. This is my dog, Lenny. Do you have any input? Did you hear that? Did you get that, guys? Anyways, I believe it's also still in theaters. So you can see it in theaters. You can see it at home. As long as you see it, you'll see Peter Dinklage, which is pretty cool. I'm also there. Love you guys.
Oh, do you have any resolutions? Do you want to sort of
New Year's resolution.
them out there?
Oh my God, this is so funny to record in September. To
Yeah.
be like, what are you gonna I'm just gonna be so my New Year's resolution is to not take everything so personally, because it's just hard right now. But probably to just disappear a bit more.
Hey man.
I'm gonna become more enigmatic in 2024.
Sure.
I don't want people know where I live right now, and that's a problem.
It's so good, man.
I will say
Rachel's
this.
very chill. She walked in here chill as hell, but she's getting hassled. It's fucked
true.
up.
You're getting hassled.
And my poor
People
dog
giving you the
is part
business.
of
I don't
it.
like
Yeah.
it. No, Rachel, I will say genuinely. It's not like I know you tremendously well, but I've known you in this weird way for a couple years now.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
We met doing Zooms together during the pandemic
Yeah.
before any of your movies had come out.
Yeah.
But when I was young, I was friends with a lot of people whose stars took off a lot faster and more aggressively than mine did.
Yeah.
And I was like adjacent to a lot of people, watching them get pushed through the thing that's happened with you in your career very quickly, deservingly so.
Thank you.
You have that sort of Streisand is just undeniable kind of thing.
Very kind. Thank you.
But I have never seen anyone handle it with as much grace that I have had any sort of adjacent view to.
You're regular.
As you have.
You
You
are
are
so regular.
You are an astonishingly regular person
Thank
for
you.
how
regular as hell.
without being oblivious. Like that's the other thing.
Right.
A lot of people I know who I'm like, how did you remain so normal? Are somehow have a cognitive dissonance where they're not even thinking about the other shit.
It's true.
They have some ability to compartmentalize
Which
it.
I kind of I envy for sure.
I do too.
Because I wish I could just not think about the things that are abnormal.
But you are so intelligent and knowledgeable about all this stuff and such a student of the history of art and entertainment and everything in a way that should make you collapse under the pressure of everything
Yeah.
you're constantly going through. And I have no idea how you do, but you're very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that a
Yeah.
lot.
Keep being a movie star.
I if they'll let me, I will.
Mhm.
I will be there to star in the movies.
Hey.
And I just want to say, Lenny, I think what you do as far as just being a dog is incredible. You're so cute.
There are a
you
few
sort
out
of
there
seem
doing it
to
like you do.
smile.
Yeah.
Keep doing it like you do.
He's nudging the mic.
And Ben's known some bad dogs in his
I know
day.
some real bad dogs, but you're one of the top dogs for sure.
No
Are you
poops
getting
in the
that?
studio. He's licking the mic. Oh, he's doing a yawn on mic.
Wow.
baby.
He's a good dog.
Good boy, honey.
He's a good boy. Thank you for being here, Rachel.
I will
Lenny, thank you
always-
for being here.
I will always be here as long as you guys want me to come back.
You're
And
the best.
I have so much fun doing this show because I love
Yes.
talking about movies.
Hey,
So
we
thank
do
you
too.
guys.
We built an entire career out of it.
Thank you again for coming.
Yeah,
Of course. Thanks for letting my dog come too.
of course. Not the first dog.
Nope.
No.
But
Earl beat him.
he's always welcome.
Earl Hines Mislani. Thank you all for listening. I think it's gonna be a fun little month with Barbara.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's so fun. I can't wait to listen to everybody else's.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, next week is Yentl.
Oh,
We'll see who's the
Podcastl.
guest.
We'll see.
We you Podcastl.
We got someone penciled.
We got someone
Hopefully it comes
penciled.
through.
Hopefully he's coming.
Yeah.
through.
Oh, I'm going to ask when we're done.
Yeah. What's that? But tune in next week for the titular episode Podcastl. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty for our social media and helping to produce the show. Thank you to JJ Birch for our research, AJ McKeon, Alex Barron for our editing, Joe Bone, Pat Reynolds for our artwork, Lee Montgomery and the Great American Novel for our theme song. You can go to blankcheckpod.com for links to some real nerdy shit, including our Patreon, Blank Check special features, where we are currently doing things that we have not decided yet because this episode is being
Mystery.
recorded far in the future. You're listening to us from the past. But stay tuned on that. And we're also, of course, we have the free membership on our Patreon where every 10 days we unlock an episode from 3 years earlier for free. So you can check out those hot early 2021 episodes, whatever the fuck we were doing then.
Excuse me, how dare you? I'm sure it was something great.
I can't remember what it was.
Neither can
though.
I.
No
Yeah.
idea. Wait, was that when we kicked off with Crocodile
Oh,
Dundee?
fuck. If we're unlocking Croc Dundee,
I think
That's
it
a big
is.
deal.
that's some of the best shit we've ever
Yes,
done.
it is. It is. Please enjoy for
You know what?
free our
Nice.
Crocodile
Enjoy.
Dundee episode.
We're giving it back to the public.
yes,
Probably the best
listen
6 hours
to
of
us be
podcasting.
horny for Paul Hogan in the first one,
Yeah.
turn on
Done.
him so hard
So
in the
fast.
second one,
Right.
be fairly defeated by the third one. I
Yeah.
think we're just kind of like whatever. He's
I
in Los
order
Angeles.
Outback Steakhouse delivery, and then
You
it
do.
turns out the guy who made my order was a blankie.
Yes,
Was
yes.
listening to the
Oh my
podcast while he was
God.
making it.
Yeah.
Not that episode, obviously.
That's
He didn't have
really,
a live
really
feed.
funny.
Yeah, but he messaged me later. Anyway, listen to all that for free. And as always,
Look closely now.
Very good.
thank you.
Lenny, what are you making friends?
Tongue kissing David.
Yeah, geez.
Dogs usually love to lick me, so don't be alarmed.
Okay.
My boyfriend's the same way.
We do call him the dog. That's David's nickname.
Is that
David,
really?
David the dog Sims.
David Dog Sims.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
If I'm being silly, they say the dog's off the leash.
And he gets really hyped up about it.
Dogs off the leash.
Woof, woof, bark, bark.
Yeah, well, Lenny's off leash right now.
Yes, you
Yeah.
are.
We've
You're
got
so
Mr.
cute.
Leonard Bernstein in the studio today.
Okay. Are we good to go, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Fantastic.
Are you gonna sing?
No?
I can't sing in front of you, Rachel.
You did for the cabaret episode.
I know.
I mean, it is Chris Christopherson. He's not.
Yeah, you can kind of growl.
He's not very. You know.
Yeah. You
He's
can-
not known for his
Yeah.
voice.
Okay.
Well,
But
wait a
as
second.
somebody
As
who
being-
did get famous because I sang a song from the 2018
Oh, yeah.
A Star is Born, I'm expecting something here.
Okay. Ben, all of this, put this at the end of the episode.
Great.
Okay. This is the bonus leading up to
This is the bonus
what
track.
people will have heard as the opening. Okay, ready?
All right.